fleetowner.com. For industry news and trends, that is fleetowner.com. That's fleetowner.com.
The St. Christopher Truckers Fund's Rigs Without Cigs program is a free tobacco and nicotine cessation program available to all Class A over-the-road truck drivers. Rigs Without Cigs participants tools to help them quit, along with support and accountability from a certified tobacco cessation specialist. Log on today, truckersfund.org, and look under the Health and Wellness tab to register. Sponsored by St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund.
Stories. Not too rainy today, but also not too much sunshine either. Here's Stefano Di Pietro.
We're still going to see little drizzle in some spots as we head through the afternoon. The cloud cover, that is something that's going to stay a main feature for us today. We're starting in the 50s. Some of us do not get out of the 50s at best. We work our way to the low and maybe the mid 60s if things can help us out.
Things like sunshine, that is, but don't count on that. We've got more in the forecast with Stefano to come. It is day 28 of the government shutdown. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reports even one federal employees union is calling on the Democrats to fund a clean continuing resolution.
Some Republicans have proposed standalone bills to fund specific programs, but Democrats have voted them down. The largest union representing federal workers is now urging Democrats to vote to reopen the government. But Democrats not budging on their demand that health care subsidies be extended.
And that's a non-starter for Republicans who don't want to see Americans continuing to pay for health care for illegal aliens. Well, something stinks in Murfreesboro. The mayor of Murfreesboro admitting that complaints about a bad odor from the Middle Point landfill significantly increased this year. And he doesn't blame those residents.
If you're asking me, would I want to get in the river out there next to the landfill, I'd say heck no. We listen to people who inspect these things. We listen to our experts. This is one of the worst run landfills in the country.
Last month, the city sent the landfill owners a notice of violations of the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act over test results that showed that landfill keeps discharging waste into the East Fork Stones River, which provides drinking water for Rutherford County and the city of Murfreesboro. There's a portal where residents can submit complaints about that landfill, and I've posted a link to the portal on my X account. You can find me there at Joan Jones WTN. Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Buoyed by hopes of a potential deal between the United States and China this week, stocks rallied to end Monday in the green, with tech companies including Tesla and Apple rising 5%. The Dow finished ahead 337 points, with the S&P ahead 83 points and the Nasdaq up 432 points, both more than 1%. About 3,200 machinists at 3 Boeing plants in the Midwest, where military aircraft and weapons are made, are back on strike after voting to reject the company's most recent offer. The union saying the offered deal had no meaningful improvements to retirement benefits and wage increases for senior workers. Boeing argued that the workers' demands exceed the cost of living. Lifestyle brand Lululemon expands its reach into professional football, reaching a deal to distribute fan merch from all 32 NFL football teams. I'm Wayne Cabot, ABC News.
And stock futures are flat this morning. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic coming up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Looking good on the majors heading into Nashville this morning. 24 looks okay. 40, no problems. Things check out on 65 as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, look, everybody, Joan's back.
Hey, how are ya?
So great to have you back, Joan.
Thanks. It's good to be here, Dan.
The team is all back except for Sam, who is in the back,
Can you see
wishing
him?
that he was on the air with us because RJ is learning how to produce today.
Yeah.
So any screw up today, Joan, is not my
Sam's
fault. No, it's not my fault.
Right?
It's certainly not your fault. Because we all know that there are no faults with Joan Jones. It's squarely on the shoulders of RJ. But RJ, no pressure. Now, 6:36, we have Jeff Smith from the Heritage Foundation going to do a deep dive into President Trump and his trip to Asia, Japan. I don't know if you saw any of that yesterday, Joan. But President Trump, I mean, he is cutting deals all across the world. We're going to get into that because there's, with all of the pomp and circumstance, there's actually some very important things going on behind the scenes. So we're going to talk about that. Of course, all eyes on Thursday when the president will meet with Xi Jinping. So we will talk to Jeff Smith from the Heritage Foundation. That is coming up at 6:36. Matthew Hurt, all things politics at 7:36. And the walls are closing in on Democrats as November 1st is rapidly approaching. Today is day 28 as the shutdown does continue. The clock is ticking as millions of people are going to be without their food stamps on November 1st. I need some video and some audio. I had a few folks send this to me last night. This is from Newsmax. Listen very closely again. This is on Newsmax.
There are 42 million people in this country that need food stamps on a weekly basis. And we're saying people deliberately instead of Americans because most of the people that are on food stamps aren't even from this country.
All right, so you've got Afghanistan. This is what's on. I'm going to give this some perspective. But on the screen, you've got Afghanistan, 45.6%, Somalians, 42.4%, Iraqis, 34.8%, Haitians, 23.3%. And basically what Rob Finnerman, I think that's his name, is it Finnerman, is saying, or Finnerty, what he's saying is that illegal aliens are all the ones that are on these food stamps.
45% of Afghanistan immigrants are on food stamps. 42% of Somali immigrants, 34% of every immigrant from Iraq, 23% of Haitians, 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting food stamps, meaning that most of the people getting food stamps from the U.S. government and the U.S. taxpayer are not even Americans. Think about that. And we didn't know about any of this before the government shutdown started. But thanks to Democrats, we can confirm tonight that millions of Joe Biden illegal aliens, people who crossed the border when Joe was president, are now collecting food stamps from a program funded by hardworking American taxpayers.
All right, so that is, again, Rob Finnerty. And so I want to just give a little perspective on this. Because one of the things, if you grok it, if you Google it, one thing that you will see is that illegal aliens are not actually eligible. And if you're watching Super Talk TV, you will see a handy little list that was going around, ricocheting around the internet. And they have all of these different ethnicities, all of these different, you've got Afghanistan, Somalians, Iraqi, Caribbean, Puerto Rican, Cuban. I mean, it goes on. And all the percentages of those folks that are getting food stamps. And so one of the things that you'll see when you Google or grok, can illegal aliens get food stamps? Well, by and large, the answer is going to be no. they can't. But the question is, what exactly is the truth? Again, because illegal aliens are not actually eligible for food stamps. I know that there's a lot of fraud. I totally get it. But remember that under Joe Biden, I've told you about this before, friends. Remember that under Joe Biden, they made millions of these people coming across the southern border as lawfully present. So basically what's happening with Rob Finnerty is that people are fact-checking him and saying, illegal aliens can't get food stamps. Well, that's true. But if Joe Biden made them lawfully present in our country, which is what Joe Biden did, then basically that means that you are given legal status in this country, and then they can begin the process of obtaining American benefits. So there's that aspect to the story, because I had a lot of people send that to me, and there's some nuance in that discussion that needs to be talked about. One of the other things, though, that I will say is that there are people in this country who legit need food stamps. And I'm just going to tell you that. This is where I'm going today. There are people that legit need food stamps. And there are people who are, they've had a spouse die. Maybe we're talking about someone in the military, whatever. And they do need food stamps. But then there's other people who give legit food stamp recipients a bad name. Like this woman.
Upset. It's bad enough I gotta pay rent. It's bad enough I got a car note. It's bad enough we gotta pay insurance. It's bad enough we gotta pay light bill. It's bad enough we gotta pay for gas. Mm-hmm. It's too much.
Right.
And then on top of that, I'm pregnant. Like,
what?
What the
Yeah, she's pregnant. So there's a couple of things going on. Number one, there are people that are worried that they're not going to get their food stamps who legit need it. There's other people that abuse the system. There's people who have absolutely no idea how to take care of themselves. And basically, they've become so reliant on the government that, like that woman, that they don't know what life would be like without food stamps, not even considering, and this is where the pushback is coming from, not even considering that, I don't know, maybe number one, you shouldn't get pregnant if you're on all of these food stamps. And number two, that, I don't know, maybe why don't you go out and get a job? So there's some backlash now against people who are on food stamps. And here's the thing. I don't disparage people that are on food stamps and really, truly need it. I really don't. The problem is that the socials are filled with people who are ripping off the government. And when I say ripping off the government, I mean you and I. And they brag about going into the grocery store and filling up their cart full of crap. Like this one. So she's got a shopping cart. She's putting in Honey Graham crackers, Cheez-Its, cookies, Fruity Pebbles, little pizzas, French fries, and the whole thing. And so the problem, Joan, is that you see these people that are just gleefully bragging about how much they can put in their shopping cart with these food stamps, these EBT cards.
Yeah.
And they're proud of it. And they don't care about the perception of someone like you or someone like me who goes out, and most of the people listening, and work for a living. Those are the people that give legit food stamp recipients a bad name. Because you walk into the grocery store, got a big old basket full of cookies and potato chips and all that kind of stuff. And you folks know what I'm talking about. If you spend any time on social media, you have seen these people. And it's like, hey, the EBT card is all full up. Let's go to Walmart.
And in the meantime, you got up at midnight. I got up at 2.
To get our butts in here to work.
Because we work.
Hey,
for our food at the food store.
Can I ask a really awkward question? And I don't mean to make people mad, but you know what? In the 5 o'clock hour, I tend to let it all hang out.
I'm sorry?
Nothing. Can I ask about septum rings?
What? Oh.
Why is it so many of these people have septum rings?
Yeah.
Like why I've just noticed a trend. That's all I'm going to say. I've noticed a trend that these folks, and if you don't know what a septum ring is, a septum ring is, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, I apologize. Can they see that, RJ? On Super Talk TV? Septum ring it's like a horseshoe that is coming out of your nose. I think that's an appropriate way to describe that. Is it not, Joan? A horseshoe that is coming out of somebody's nose?
Sometimes you see that on bulls, right?
You see it on bulls. That is exactly right.
Yeah.
Should I just call them a bull ring from now on to go along with their bull?
You could call it a moo ring.
Call it a moo ring? Sure, I could. So but the point is, if you have enough money to put in a bull ring or a septum ring, do you maybe have enough money to, I don't know, put together a resume and go out and get a job? You see, the more that we, and this is why there's so much pushback. Is there any traffic, Joan?
I doubt it. No, there's not.
All right, no traffic. That's your traffic report at 5:16. So, but this is why there's pushback against, all of the hand-wringing, by the way, including with Republicans. There's a lot of hand-wringing where Republicans are like, oh, my God, they're not going to get their food stamps. I get it for the legit people that need food stamps. But people like this, the people who are on Instagram and TikTok who are flaunting, they're ripping off of the U.S. government, which, by the way, they're not ripping off the U.S. government. Again, they're ripping off me and you. And they're proud of it. And you think those people are really going to go out and get a job? No. To be perfectly candid, it might do them some good to be without some food stamps for a while so that they can realize that there are working people that are just on the line of having their power shut off or feeding their kids, but they make too much money to be on food stamps. And it'd be real easy for them to say, you know what, screw it. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to just hang out all day and watch The View and all of these other shows and collect my food stamps. But they don't. They go out and they work. And again, there are people that are right on that line. And they make too much money to get the food stamps, and they choose to go to work every single day. But you got these people that are out there, and it's like TikTok videos, and they're proud of it. They're proud of all of the stuff. And how many times have we had the argument? How many times have I done the show where it's like, oh yeah, we need to make sure that food stamp recipients can only get healthy food, right? And then the people call up and they'll say, but healthy food is more expensive. I know, I get it. But this is why there's such a massive pushback on the socials here in the last 24 hours, is because people who are working are tired of those people that are taking advantage of the system. That's number one. Number two, people who are just on the line and they make too much money to get those food stamps, but they choose to work and they could just as easily stay home. Those people are pushing back as well. So I think for me, when I see, these kinds of videos, the ones that I just played for you on Super Talk TV or on the radio, I get frustrated with these types of stories where the abuse is so evident, because the longer that these folks are on food stamps, the more people become accustomed to living on food stamps. It's like when you go to these reserves, and they're like, don't feed the animals, right? Why don't you feed the animals? You don't feed the animals. And no, I'm not comparing animals and food, food card recipients or whatever, food stamp recipients. But what happens when you feed the animals? They become accustomed to being fed by humans, and then they lose that instinct to hunt. Well, the same thing is going on with the food stamp recipients, where they're just, they've been on these food stamps forever. And they're proud of being able to fill their cart with all of that crap. And the thought of going to work at Walmart is so incredibly foreign to them. And they don't even realize, and I'm talking about the abusers, they don't even realize that there is a much better life waiting for them if they could just go out, work, earn a living, and they could make 5 times what they're getting on food stamps. But they choose not to. And I know that there's some people that do work and they also are able to supplement that low income with food stamps. I get that. I've never been on, Joan, you ever been on food stamps? Be honest. I've never been on food stamps.
I have not.
RJ, you ever been on food stamps? Baptism by fire.
I have never been. I was encouraged to when I spent the last 2 weeks unemployed at the end of September, but then I got this job.
Okay. Very good. So RJ, after this shift, he might want to go back to food stamps. RJ chooses to work instead of going on food stamps for the first time. See, you have a, go get him kind of an attitude. I think that's great.
Yeah, and that encouragement was coming from my parents, no less.
There you go. Oh, really? Your parents were encouraging you to be on food stamps?
Yeah, I had gotten laid off from my previous job, and I spent 2 weeks in unemployment, and they were like, well, you just moved to Nashville, so maybe you should consider getting food stamps. And I'm like, heck no.
Do you know what's so funny? I have been unemployed before, Joan. The thought never occurred to me to go out and try to get food stamps. Isn't that funny? Did the thought ever occur to you to try to go get food stamps?
No, and I'll tell you why. When I was young, my parents didn't have a lot of money, and there were 4 kids, didn't have a lot of money. But my father and my mother were insistent that we would never do something, at the time, going on food stamps or any type of welfare.
Oh, my gosh.
There was a huge no-no to that.
Yeah, you'd be like, there used to be a time, and I know that everybody says this now, so it's cliche, but
it would be embarrassing.
You'd be embarrassed to be on food stamps. You would be embarrassed to
at the
walk in
store.
and you have, I don't know how it used to be. Did it used to actually be stamps?
I think so.
Yeah, now it's just an EBT card and you can't really tell. But now everybody just wants to, brag about it online. But yeah, you used to be embarrassed. Now people, their every thought has to be online.
Yep.
Including, hey, everybody, look at all this stuff that I got from food stamps. And then when they're at risk of losing those food stamps, then they're going to be online complaining about it. And my question would be to all that: did you go out and vote? Did you go out and vote, and who'd you vote for? Because right now it's the Democrats that are keeping you from your precious food stamps. And again, realize, I know that I sound heartless. I'm saying the people that are flaunting their food stamp usage and taking advantage of the system, they are giving the people that really need food stamps, the single mom of 1 or 2, she's a widow, whatever, you're giving those people a bad name. And I think that's why I think there has been now such a backlash on the socials in the last couple of days. All right, it is 5:23 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan's got the news coming up at 5:30. Hey, Joan.
Yeah, President Trump has some exciting trade news. He's on that long trip to Asia. We'll bring that to you. Also, a federal judge smacks down Justin Jones. We'll tell you how. Those stories.
Favorite story.
I know.
Why did it take 2 weeks?
I know.
Anyway, go ahead.
It's coming up here at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
529, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, a lot of people checking in on the Super Text line.
Yeah.
And talking about a number of different things. Number one, a lot of folks that have been on food stamps through times of trouble, peril, and despair, but they got off of those food stamps. One guy says he got into a motorcycle accident, and so through that, he ended up, on food stamps for a time, and it's supposed to be temporary.
Yes,
and a lot of the folks that are chiming in, I think I've discovered if I ever want to just phone it in and just take phone calls, I could just start talking about food stamps. But a lot of people saying that, you know what? I was on food stamps temporarily after an accident or during a time of unemployment, but ultimately they were able to get off of those food stamps and go work. And that's the whole point that I've been saying, is that when you get off of food stamps and go get an actual job, you can make 5, 10, 15, 20 times what you get on food stamps.
Food stamps should absolutely expire. It should not be something that is generational.
Yes.
Lifelong. No.
No,
it should be.
It shouldn't be a generational
stamped.
crutch.
Yeah.
So, all right. It is 5:30, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, the Super Text line is very active this morning. Thank you. 615-737-9986. 615-737-WWTN. Time for news with Joan Jones.
Good morning, 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. President Trump saying that the U.S. and China have now agreed to a framework for a trade deal.
More than 6 months after he launched his trade war with China, President Trump now says a deal could be at hand.
But nothing has been agreed to yet. But we feel good. We feel good.
The administration says they've reached the framework of an agreement that covers fentanyl and tariffs and includes a pledge by China to resume buying American agriculture like soybeans and to loosen restrictions on their sale of rare earth minerals, critical for making smartphones and cars.
ABC News correspondent Rachel Scott there. Closer to home, the lawsuit filed by Nashville Rep. Justin Jones against his Republican colleagues has been tossed out by a federal judge. Here's WSMV4's Tracy Cornett.
Jones filed a lawsuit in 2023 after he was expelled from the chamber with Representatives Justin Pearson and Gloria Johnson. He claimed that was a violation of his First and 14th Amendment rights.
The judge dismissing every single count. There were 6 of them, saying, for the most part, that Justin Jones didn't have standing. Well, better change your passwords. An Australian security researcher says a stolen trove of 3.5 terabytes of data has surfaced online, and in it, more than 183 million email passwords, including tens of millions linked to Gmail accounts, Yahoo, and Outlook. Cybersecurity analysts say that this is one of those biggest credential dumps ever uncovered. They say turn on two-step verification and adopt passkeys as a safer alternative to passwords. Game 3 of the World Series, Dodgers win 6-5 over the Blue Jays thanks to a Freddie Freeman walk-off home run in the 18th inning.
18 innings, Joan. I got up this morning and I actually watched the end of the game. It's crazy.
Yeah. By the way, that ties the longest game in the Fall Classic history if you go by innings, not time, but innings.
All right.
That is the latest news. We've got your traffic coming up. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, so I have some messages here from super texters that on I-24 in the eastbound lanes at mile marker 24, traffic is stopped this morning. I don't have that on my screen, so I'm not really sure what that's about. Just let you know that other people are talking about it. Also this morning, if you're traveling in the area of Dixon, Tennessee, watch it on 40 westbound between Centerville-Dixon. That's exit 172 and exit 163. There's an overturned truck and the highway is closed down. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right. 5:37, my bad. 5:37, Super Talk 99.7. Joan, are you familiar with the Mamdani story about his aunt?
Yeah, the fake story about his aunt. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just discovering it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had, the last couple of days, I've done a lot of local news, and the Mamdani thing just kind of fell off my radar.
Yeah.
But apparently, he said, I've got some audio here. Apparently, he said that after 9/11, his aunt had a hard time wearing, was it a hijab? Is that what he said?
Hijab, yeah.
Here's what he said.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City.
Crying.
I want to
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
So he is in New York, and he wants to be the mayor of New York.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that his aunt did not actually live in New York at the time post 9/11.
Yeah.
So he got caught in a lie.
Yeah. But he tried to smooth it all over by saying, he told reporters, I was speaking about Zirafuhi, I guess that's how you say it, my father's cousin who passed away a few years ago.
All right, I've got that audio.
Yeah.
So here he is.
Oh, good.
Yes, I was speaking about my aunt. I was speaking about...
By the way, we need to get a, I've been saying this for years. We need to get like the sound effect of like a broom sweeping. You know, like clean up on Isle Mamdani.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here you go.
Zerafoui.
Zerafoui.
My father's cousin, who sadly passed away a few years ago.
Funny, he didn't cry there.
Yeah.
At her death. So in other words, he got caught in a lie. Hold on.
And for the takeaway from my more than 10-minute address about Islamophobia in this race and in this city to be the question of my aunt tells you everything about Andrew Cuomo and his inability to reckon with a crisis of his own making.
Okay, so I'm a guy who is just stepping into this story. He said that it was his grandmother, but it wasn't. It was his aunt? Is that what happened?
It's not really his aunt.
So who is he talking about?
His father's cousin.
Okay, so his story, in other words, his story doesn't add up.
Right.
Because she didn't live in New York.
And he said he affectionately called her his aunt.
Oh.
Right.
Come on, man.
Yeah. I call my next door neighbor aunt sometimes when I was a kid.
Here's the deal. Yeah. When you are running for office and when you know that everything that you say is going to be under a microscope, then you need to have your facts straight. And especially if you are going to talk about Islamophobia after 9/11. For his takeaway to be on Islamophobia after 9/11, is that really your takeaway? I mean, for anybody like Mamdani, who wants to be the mayor of New York, if that's his takeaway of 9/11 is tearfully talking about Islamophobia, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
And yet New York is probably going to hire this dude.
Yeah.
Did you hear what happened with Curtis Sliwa? So you've got 3 people running for mayor of New York, right? You've got Mamdani, you've got Cuomo, and you've got Curtis Sliwa. Cuomo is in second place, right? Mamdani is in first, and you've got Sliwa and Cuomo second and third. Sliwa is a talk show host, you know, like he's one of these New York, what do you call him?
He used to be a guardian angel.
Guardian angel.
Yeah.
I was going to say Hell's Angels, and I know that's not right. No. He used to be a guardian angel in New York. He's now a talk show host on WABC, dropped out of being a talk show host to run for mayor. They are begging Curtis Sliwa to drop out of the race because he is splitting the other than Mamdani vote. He won't do it. Sliwa is clearly going to lose, but he won't drop out. And if he won't drop out, then Cuomo and Sliwa are going to split the other than Mamdani vote, and he's going to be the mayor. And there's going to be a huge exodus of people leaving New York, leaving the city of New York, Manhattan, and probably leaving the state of New York. And this guy, it's like the more that you get to know him, the more you realize, number one, how slimy he is. I mean, the guy's a communist. I mean, he is clearly a communist. And he is clearly a liar. And he's lying about his family. He's lying about his past. And he's trying to make things up as he goes along to try to paint Cuomo as some sort of a, you know what, anti-Muslim type person. Is that what it is? Islamophobe? Is that what it is? So, but I think it is perfectly clear that if this guy, he wears his history and his religion, his culture on his sleeve. I mean, it is all right there. And he uses that as a big part of his appeal to the people of New York. And so if that's what you're going to do, if you're going to sort of brand yourself as a Muslim running to be the mayor of New York, well, then you better be prepared for people to talk about it and talk about, you know, your past, your family's past. And if that means that you're going to call people Islamophobes, well, you're the one that's bringing it up, dude. If you're bringing it up, then people are going to talk about it. And that's the bottom line. And I don't think this guy, clearly he's going to destroy New York if he ends up getting in. Curtis Sliwa got so angry. He was doing an interview with WABC, and they were begging him to drop out of the race. He actually, Joan, quit on the air.
Wow.
He quit WABC. He said, no, I will never appear on WABC again. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to drop out of the race because, you know, I believe in my campaign. Well, at some point, reality has to set in. And if you don't have a chance to win, and I haven't seen the more recent polling, but you had other people drop out and throw their weight behind Cuomo because at the end of the day, they desperately don't want Mamdani to be the mayor of New York. And so now people are calling Sliwa, you know, selfish and all these other things because he won't drop out. So you think they're actually going to vote for him? You think he's actually going to be Mamdani?
I don't see any other option. I don't see it going any other way. Can you imagine? I mean,
people are going to bail. I mean, he is on record as saying what he wants to do. You know, the Democrats, they always say this about Donald Trump. Believe him when he says ... whatever it is, and they'll take whatever he is saying out of context. Well, with Mamdani, I mean, this is a guy who wants, you know, free buses for everybody and rent controls everywhere and, you know, government-run grocery stores and all that stuff, and wants to hike the prices on the rich in I'm going to air quote, the rich in New York. And here's the problem, is the rich in New York, because I'm air quoting, they're the ones that are bringing all of the jobs. They're the ones that are paying all the taxes. And it's like you can only go to the well so often before they're just going to be like, screw it. I can't imagine living in New York. Can you? If this guy gets in, I mean, the upper crust are they're already taxed to high heaven. Now, this guy gets in, and it is a war on the rich folks in New York. And once all of the wealthy leave and all the job creators leave, then what are they going to be left with? So have fun. But I love how Mamdani gets caught in a lie. And I'm sure that the people that support him are just going to look the other way. Oh, it's just Islamophobia. That's what it is. Because that's part of his shtick is, Islamophobia. RJ and A were talking about getting fired from jobs. Joan, you ever been fired? We may have gone over this.
Yeah, a number. Yes.
Okay, so Joan's been fired a number of times. I've lost my job one time, and it was not because of my performance. It was because they had gutted my radio station, my first ever programming job. They had gutted my radio station to the point where there's nothing left for me to do, right, as a program director. We're familiar with that. So, in radio. And so RJ was talking about how he got blown out of a radio station. They literally pulled you out of the studio and walked you to you to the door?
The perp walk.
The perp walk.
Yeah.
I've had a perp walk.
No, it wasn't the radio station. They just took me off the air because I was talking, and I was just told fix that before I went in again. It was a different job that I was fired from, and I can't publicly disclose that employer.
Oh, come on. Let me do it. You told me in the break. Let me do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
I have an NDA.
RJ was sweating there. Don't worry, RJ. I'm not going to rat you out.
But you're going to tell me later, right?
Joan, you used to be a traffic reporter, right?
Yeah.
So I used to be a traffic reporter in Los Angeles. And it was one of these places where you had a room full of reporters, and we would all be on like multiple radio stations.
Yeah.
So I would be on, 7 different radio stations in Morning Drive. But when I was coming up, I don't have a naturally gifted radio voice. I think that we can all agree on that. And certainly when I was younger, I sounded like Minnie Mouse. Problems on the 405, right? I sounded really, really young.
Nice.
And I always worried about those first few reports on a new radio station, because I knew that the second, because this was back in the, like 90s, early 90s, and when late 80s, early 90s, when like the deep voiced announcers were in. Remember that, that era?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would always wait for that. I'd do a report on a new station that I would be on, and I would wait for the phone to ring. And it was always the program director of that radio station, hey, did you recruiting out of the junior high school down the street? Who is this guy? And I got pulled off of so many different stations.
Oh my gosh.
I did.
That's terrible.
Do you know how when you are I'm not at the tail end of my career, but I mean, how you look back on your career and you're like, man, it could have gone either way. It could have gone either way for me. I could have been unemployed, in radio after, a couple of years or whatever. And you look back at the people that helped you along the way.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a particular person at this traffic reporting place, and I kept getting. This is why I sometimes can be a little sensitive, but I would get pulled off of these major radio stations, and so they very well could have fired me because I sounded terrible. And
I'm so sorry, Dan.
It's okay. Listen. And plus, I'm a goofball. So, the DJ would try to do some witty banter with me. Mm-hmm. I would have nothing. You know what I mean? I'd say something so off the wall, they had no idea what to do with me. So they finally decided, they didn't fire me because I was really good at producing and so forth and getting the information. So they put me on the worst, radio stations, like AM 1600.
Still playing the Station of the Stars music.
Yeah, you're oldie. And they put me on the stations where it just didn't matter how bad I sounded.
Yeah.
They were just happy to have a live voice. But I'm forever thankful to those people because they didn't fire me when they could have.
Yeah.
They just put me, in places where I could do as little damage as possible. Kind of funny. I won a Marconi, isn't it? And I ended up as a morning guy.
See where you ended up.
And I'm doing syndicated shows and all that. I actually spoke to the I don't want to say who I'm talking about, but I actually spoke to the person who was my superior in that job a little bit ago, and he was like, if you would have asked me in a million years if you would still be in radio 40 years later, 35, 40 years later, no way. I would picture you as No offense to people that sell insurance, but I'd figure it'd be somebody selling insurance or doing anything other than using your voice on the radio. Isn't that funny? So, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you got to look back and you got to think, yeah, it is a wonder I've never been on food stamps. Because I could have been.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, literally, I don't know how to do anything else. I barely know how to do this.
I think we've all had those moments or periods of time in our life where we're just scraping by.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but that's where your character gets created. That's you know, what you're doing in those moments really determines who you're going to be.
You ever do the walk of shame, the perp walk? You've done the perp walk, the walk of shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Philadelphia, when I was fired from B101, like the best job I probably ever had. It was a great morning show. It was, you know, really
Listen,
terrific
no
morning
offense
show.
taken. It's all good.
Yeah. But the boss decided to walk me out. He said it's not personal. I'm like, what?
As you're carrying your box with your plant in it, right?
And so he's following me out the door. And I said, what are you doing? Why are you following me? He said, I'm going to see you out the door. I said, get away from me.
Did you really?
Yeah, get away from me. Like, you're not my boss anymore. I don't have to be nice to you. So
oh, that is so funny.
Get away from me.
Give him one good middle finger on the way out the door.
Well,
at least you got to clean your desk out, Joan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't even get to clean your desk out when you got fired.
No, they just had a security guard escort me to the car. Someone brought my bag to me, and then anything they left on my desk, I got mailed 3 days later.
Wow.
Well, you know, you could always run into a studio and grab a microphone and say something bad. I feel like, is that what they think? Is that why they perp walk you out? They think you're going to say something bad on the air?
I haven't had to perp walk anybody here. Like I just never, when I was PD, I never had to.
Yeah.
But in previous jobs, I did have to perp walk people out.
And what'd you feel like? Why would you have to walk them out?
They just wanted them out as soon as possible because, number one, you never know who's packing. You never know who's going to go crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't want like an international incident. And because these are radio stations, you've got to be cognizant that that person is gone. And then you have to be able to, as a company, be able to tell people, okay, so this person is no longer with us and, you know, here's why. Or you don't find out why. They're just gone. You know what I mean? It just gets real messy. And you want people out as soon as possible, I guess.
Yeah.
I felt really bad for perp walking people. Like I was always the guy that was like, you know, if I had to fire somebody, I'm really sorry, man. One time I almost started crying. No, seriously, I did. Like I had to fire somebody who I loved, this person. And I had to let that person go. And man, I felt so incredibly terrible.
Why did you have to let them go? Was it like somebody over
cutbacks.
you?
It cutbacks.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's cutbacks.
Yeah.
You know, and it just, unfortunately, that is everybody knows that that happens in any business, not just in radio. So, anyway, it is 5:54. And by the way, I'll spare you my monologue about how I have learned more from my failures than my successes. But I have had many, 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 many failures in my life. And I have learned from every single one of them. Do you know when I get pulled off of those radio stations? Very quickly. When I was a traffic reporter and I'd get pulled off of those radio stations, they'd call up and they'd say, do you have like anybody else? Do you have like the janitor cleaning out the toilet? Can you get him to do our traffic reports?
That's awful.
But you know what? I learned from every single one. And that just made me more passionate to succeed and more passionate to lead into, all right, I've got a goofy voice, so I'm going to hone my goofy nature. And that's exactly what I did. And eventually, I got on those bigger radio stations, and I was a mainstay on those bigger radio stations, not because I had a great voice, but because
your goofiness is endearing.
Because my goofiness, and also I became really, really good at giving the information.
Yeah.
Because I figured that's what I really wanted to do. Anyway, we're running really late. It is 5:56. Joan, what's coming up in the news?
A Metro Council member is cleared in an ethics complaint. That's coming up here at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
your home can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. There are no showings, no open houses, no stress. Work with the #1 real estate team in the U.S. and close with confidence. Go to markspain.com today.
Good morning, 6:01. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're looking at some patchy fog this morning, then a mostly cloudy day. Our highs may reach 65 degrees. And Stefano tells us that we've got showers returning tonight. They'll linger through Thursday night. In the news, Metro Council member Joy Kimbrough cleared of an ethics violation. She had been accused of asking a developer for $500,000 in exchange for political support for a project. Now, after more than 8 hours of testimony yesterday, Kimbrough was cleared of that complaint. She had insisted she never demanded money from that developer. As the government shutdown reaches day 28, there are questions being raised about whether federal contingency funds can be used to help those who need food assistance. House Speaker Mike Johnson saying The administration's hands are tied, though, when it comes to using those funds.
The reason is because it's a finite source of funds. It was appropriated by Congress. And if they transfer funds from these other sources, it pulls it away immediately from school meals and infant formula.
The USDA website published on Saturday says that the well has run dry and that Senate Democrats are responsible for the department's decision not to send out benefits on November 1st. Finally, he is 70, she is 46. And now Kelsey Grammer and his wife have just welcomed their fourth child into the world. Now, for the Cheers alum, that is his eighth child altogether. He made the announcement on the latest episode of the Pod Meets World podcast. His oldest child, by the way, is 41 years old. Kelsey Grammer has been married 4 times. He told People magazine recently he's working to avoid certain mistakes, bringing up his younger kids that he made while raising his older ones. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Stock futures were in neutral overnight after Monday's regular session propelled the major indexes to new highs. The Dow Jones surged 338 points to finish at 47,544. The S&P closed up 1.25%. The Nasdaq soared more than 1.8%. President Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi have signed an agreement focused on rare earth minerals, which are critical for some electronics. About 90% of that material currently comes from China. Workers in the massive distribution centers should be safe, but front office employees at Amazon need to watch their email. The online retailer confirms that it plans to cut 14,000 corporate positions. Google may have found a way to feed some of its power-gobbling data centers. The company is working with utility giant NextEra Energy to restart the Duane Arnold nuclear power plant in Iowa, which closed in 2020. It could begin operating in early 2029. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And stock futures this morning are flat. That's the latest news. Traffic is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, so big problems this morning. If you're traveling on I-40 on the westbound side between Centerville-Dixon, that's exit 172, and exit 163, the roadway is closed off. There's an overturned truck there involved in a crash. Again, that's 40 westbound. This is in Dixon. Between Centerville-Dixon and, let's see, it's exit 172 and exit 163. Now, elsewhere this morning on 65 northbound side past I-440, watch for a crash. The right entrance lane has been blocked off by it. On the South Loop 40 westbound before I-65, that's the scene of a crash as well. And then one in Nashville on Bell Road at Brittany Park Drive. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:06, Nationals Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and welcome on in to your Tuesday, October 28th, and we've got a couple of days now. We are day 28 of the shutdown. November 1st is when everybody is beginning to freak out now because food stamps, EBT cards, and the rest of it will not be available, and so you've got the Democrats. Do you know what I wonder? I wonder if with all of these people that are freaking out about how they're not going to have the food stamps anymore, and I went through that in the 5 o'clock hour, but I do wonder if they are cognizant as to which side is actually shutting down the government. Because clearly, as you all know, it is the Democrats. In Washington, D.C., clearly the Democrats are not doing their job. So this ongoing discussion as to whether or not members of Congress should actually be getting their paychecks, which has been part of the conversation the last couple of days. I mean, I understand why the Republicans would want their paychecks because they're trying to work, but the Democrats, they're the ones that are just shutting things down. This is Senator Rick Scott. He is a Republican.
If you didn't do your job in business, you didn't get paid. You don't show up and do your job, you don't get paid. Why are we getting paid? We shouldn't get paid if we don't do our job. We need to figure out how to work together to get our budgets done. It's as simple as that.
So you're going to offer legislation to not get paid during shutdowns?
Absolutely. I already have a bill. We've got a bill that we don't get paid during the shutdown. Ron Johnson's got a bill that will never have shutdowns. That should pass also. But on top of that, what are the Democrats doing? This is a clean resolution. All we're doing is keeping the funding. Actually, the funding is too high. It's still the Biden funding.
Right.
But I don't want to shut down government, so I support it. But the Democrats, they want to shut down for whatever reason. How is this good for the country? Nobody wins with a shutdown.
Well, the Democrats think that this is going to be a win for them. And, you know, for the life of me, and I understand why Rick Scott wants to and has filed legislation now to mandate that members of Congress don't get paid in the event of a shutdown. I actually understand that sentiment, but I disagree with it somewhat because, it is the Democrats that are shutting down the government. It is not the Republicans. Even the Democrats will cop to that. Remember that the Democrats are keeping the government shut down because they want leverage. Remember this? Now, all those people that are not going to be getting their food stamps here in the next couple of days, they need to hear this soundbite.
You don't think that the public will perceive that the Democrats are responsible?
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leverage times we have. It is an inflection point.
I mean, I can't play that audio bite enough. And that was one of several Democrats that did talk about how America is their leverage. And people who are getting food stamps or air traffic controllers, anybody who is not getting a paycheck, the Democrats are using their suffering, their pain and suffering as leverage. And the Republicans, and we can't say it enough, the Republicans are simply trying to pass this continuing resolution that Joe Biden and the Democrats themselves voted on multiple times. Republicans did make cuts to their budget in the big, beautiful bill as mandated by the American people in November of 2024. That's the whole point. The Democrats want over $1 trillion back into that budget. But what was the mandate? The mandate was clean up waste, fraud, and abuse. That was the mandate. Defund propaganda-laden PBS and NPR. No reason why they should be funded by taxpayer dollars. And remember that the Republicans, they're ready to negotiate. They've been saying all along, we are ready to negotiate. And the Democrats want nothing to do with negotiating. They just want to shut down the government, and they won't vote to reopen the government unless the Republicans cave. And the Republicans are saying, no, that's not the way that this works. Meantime, the Democrats continue to spout off. This is Tim Walz.
This is not a both sidesism. This is owned by the Republicans. It is owned by their ability to want to have anything their way. They've got a president that is pulling money back that was appropriated by the legislature, which these legislators, I'm glad they are, would be horrified by that idea, giving up their authority as an independent branch. So I know Democrats are ready to go. I know they're ready to come back and do this. They're ready to come back and protect things that had passed the legislature.
You know, he's such a bloviating a-hole, Tim Walz. Like, everything that he's saying is a lie. Oh, the Democrats are ready to come back. Are you? Because Republicans are like, okay, if you're ready to come back, pass the continuing resolution, we can get everybody their food stamps, we can get everybody paid, and we can continue to negotiate.
They are not willing to come back and let an authoritarian president do whatever.
It is. Authoritarian president. It all comes back down to Donald Trump, doesn't it?
He wants. The people are going to be lined up out here to get food, and we're talking about a damn ballroom. Don't lose the plot. Don't lose the plot of what's going on.
You know, it is interesting because I would say to Tim Walz, okay, so Tim, can I ask you a question, Tim? Who is talking about the ballroom? It's the Democrats. They're the ones talking about a ballroom. Meantime, Senator Marsha Blackburn is leading the charge on getting the federal government to fund SNAP benefits. That's exactly right. She is introducing legislation to have some funding, I guess it would be some emergency funding, to get the federal government funding to fund the SNAP benefits effective, of course, on November 1st. Because as you know, on November 1st, the SNAP benefits will not be there for folks that need those food stamps. And so for the Republicans, they are trying to get this done. They are trying to help the people that need those benefits. And Marsha Blackburn, we're going to try to get her on the show at some point, either later on today or tomorrow, to talk about that. But, you know, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, he has been all over this, talking about what the Republicans are trying to do and what the Democrats have done, which is shut down the government. Details straight ahead. By the way, coming up at 6:36, we have the Heritage Foundation. They are going to be joining us here in a little bit. Going to do a deep dive into the absolute winning that Donald Trump is doing on the national stage. He met with Japan's prime minister yesterday. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more with the Heritage Foundation coming up at 6:36. Right now it is 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Dixon 40 westbound is closed between Lanes and Bell Road. Watch for an accident at Brittany Park Drive. I'm Christy O'Brien.
As far as your weather goes, cloudy today, showers in spots, a high of 62, feeling like 61. Appreciate you listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, when I talk about President Trump winning with Japan, I mean, they've come up with some great deals. Trump announcing a $10 billion Toyota investment in America. There are some rare earth minerals agreements as well. So the president, again, doing a lot to help America and his America First agenda. By the way, remember, a lot of this, when it comes to the rare earth minerals, if I could just do just a bit of a shuffle here, the rare earth minerals, the reason why President Trump is having to go to Japan, having to go to Australia, and, of course, having to go to Ukraine is because China, they've been restricting their exports of those rare minerals. And so how often have we said that we need to count on China less because China is our mortal enemy? And so if we're getting an overabundance of, for example, the ingredients to our medicines or our minerals and those kinds of things, if all of that is coming from China, then we are putting ourselves at terrible risk. And so we're going to talk about that with the Heritage Foundation coming up at 6:36 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Right now, just real quickly, as we wrap up the shutdown talk, House Speaker Mike Johnson, have you noticed that as the Republicans, and I just told you, Senator Marsha Blackburn leading the charge to get the federal government to fund SNAP benefits, and they got to come to an agreement by November 1st. Do you know what I think this is with the Republicans? I think what they're trying to do, because you've got Marsha Blackburn and other Republicans that want this to happen, I think they want to come up with a bill so that it's really daring the Democrats to vote against it. I think that's part of what's going on. You got all these people that are saying, oh, no, our benefits, all across social media. And so the Republicans are like, listen, look at this. We have a bill. It's right here. And it's designed to specifically fund SNAP benefits. Here, Democrats, vote against this. And they're going to dare the Democrats to vote against it, just like they voted against everything else. House Speaker Mike Johnson, who for whatever reason, he is being criticized because the House isn't working right now on anything budgetary. And I tell those people, well, the House has done their job. They've passed their version of the continuing resolution. That is now what is being dealt with in the Senate. This is Mike Johnson yesterday in front of reporters.
4 simple facts here. The Democrats are required to open the government. They keep saying Republicans are in charge of government. We aren't, not in the Senate. 60 votes control the Senate, not a bare majority. And so point number 1, Democrat votes are required to open the government. Point number 2, they refuse to do it. They have now voted 12 times to keep the government closed. And they'll have another chance today or tomorrow, maybe multiple times this week, and we'll see what they do.
I think they're going to vote it down again. He's right. 12. They've had, Joan, am I right here? 12 no votes?
I think
12 no votes.
I think it's more than 12.
Is it more than 12?
I'm not really sure. So, yeah, I mean, let's go with 12.
You lose, like, I mean, honestly, how many, once you go past like 2 or 3 no votes, it's like, yeah, just
right.
Tell me when you guys figure it out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But now the number of no votes, it matters because that tells you which side is being cooperative. Now, polling seems to be all over the place on this. Some polls say that Republicans are to blame. Others say Democrats are to blame. The American Federation of Government Employees. Now, Joan, I don't know if you know this. This is a leftist-leaning Washington, D.C. based union. They are now, again, the American Federation of Government Employees, they are now calling on the Democrats to cut the crap. That's right. This is from the Associated Press. The left-leaning union's president, Everett Kelly, imploring the Democrats to accept a solution to prevent millions of Americans from going hungry and working for free. Both political parties have made their point. Still, there's no clear end in sight, Kelly says. Congress pushed our nation into the 4th week of a full government shutdown, an avoidable crisis that is harming families, communities, and the very institutions that hold our country together. Kash Patel also calling on lawmakers to find a solution Monday, noting that it was another day where 2/3 of the FBI goes without a paycheck after 45 senators, all of whom, he says, are still getting paid, voted against paying them last week. Now, yesterday, again, Speaker Johnson went all over the place, and he was talking about what the big holdup is, and that, of course, is the Democrats.
But among the things they're demanding, this is what the Democrats in the Senate are demanding to reopen the government. They want to give $200 billion in health benefits to illegal aliens and non-citizens, paid for by U.S. taxpayers. That is in their proposal. They want billions in wasteful programs to be returned to foreign countries. So we stopped these things. They want to turn it all back on. They're demanding that we do all that to get the government open for hardworking Americans again. They want to give $500 million to left-leaning news organizations, and they want to cut $50 billion from rural hospitals. We will not do those things, and they know that very well.
Yep, that is House Speaker Mike Johnson. So, there's a lot going on here. You do have the spin on both sides. You do have a lot of folks out there that are blaming the Republicans. You have people blaming the Democrats as well. I don't know. It just obviously seems to me like if you've got one side of the aisle, if you've got one political party that votes no to literally open the government and continue negotiations, that's the Democrats. Then clearly they are the ones at fault. You will have people that say, oh, but wait a minute, the Republicans, they control both chambers and they also control the White House. Yes, but as we have explained a multitude of times, you need 60 votes in the Senate. And right now, every Republican and 3 Democrats have voted to reopen the government, but it's the remaining Democrats who have voted to keep the government closed. It is 6:22 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Joan Jones is in the newsroom. Joan, what's coming up at 6:30?
Well, Charlie Kirk's alleged killer gets a break from a judge. That story coming up here at 6:30 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Your favorite podcast platform and the Super Talk 99.7 WTN app.
You know, here's the thing too, Joan, is if you start listening at like 6:30,
yeah,
or 6:45, and you listen to like 7:30, there's that whole 5 o'clock hour
that you missed.
And odds are the 5 o'clock hour is actually pretty unique. I try not to, repeat too much content. So if you like what you hear in the 6 and the 7, you're really going to like what you hear in the 5.
Without a doubt.
Because remember, the 5 o'clock is my favorite hour, actually, as a matter of fact.
It's Dan flying by the seat of his pants hour.
It's exactly right, Joan. Where I awkwardly said in the 5 o'clock hour that it's the hour that I let it all hang out.
Hang out.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
6:23, and I want to tell you about my friends at Vision for Life. Dan Mandis here, and I want to talk to you about something that is indeed truly life-changing. Vision correction surgery at Vision for Life. Now, like many of you, I thought that all vision surgeries were the same. I believed that everything was just LASIK, but after doing my research, I learned Vision for Life offers a variety of advanced procedures tailored to each patient's unique needs. Now, Dr. Horn, he doesn't just restore your vision, he restores your confidence and your freedom. Freedom from glasses, freedom from contacts, and yes, those pesky struggles like driving at night and reading small print. Now, this is where I went for my vision correction surgery. I've never been happier. They can help you as well. Call them, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020. Find them online anytime, visionforlife.com, visionforlife.com. .625, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan Mandis here for my friends at DT McCall's. I love this place. I've bought many appliances there. DT McCall's, a great Tennessee company. They are here for their fellow Tennesseans with great prices, selection, and value. I've been telling you for years about DT McCall's. They've been helping people out for, count them, 4 generations. And if you need it, they've got it at DT McCall's. Indoor furniture, if you've got a room to fill, go to DT McCall's. If you need an appliance, if it plugs in, they've got it. They've always got specials going on to save you money. Just go to their website, dtmccalls.com. You are going to see great opportunities to buy the best brands of appliances and furniture at great prices. DT McCall's, they've been at it for over 100 years with a focus on customer service. And if you buy it, DT McCall's is going to deliver it for free and haul away the old stuff. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee: Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. Always online. Always tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Always online, dtmccalls.com. 629, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, I told you that it's not 12, it's 13 no votes that the Democrats have done. It's 13, not 12. Also, people are saying, as far as the shutdown goes, that they do feel, overwhelming majority feel like the Democrats and the Republicans and the president, nobody should get paid in the event of a government shutdown because they feel that no one is doing their jobs. It is 6:30, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The trans man accused of killing Charlie Kirk has won a court battle. This happened yesterday. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
Tyler Robinson, accused of killing Charlie Kirk, listened remotely from jail as a judge ruled that Robinson will be allowed to wear civilian clothing at upcoming court hearings as to not appear guilty and prejudice a jury.
The defendant has a right to appear in civilian clothing, and that any restraints must be concealed from the jury.
The judge denied Robinson's attempts to be unshackled during court hearings and will limit media from showing any photos or videos of his restraints. Alex Stone, EBC News.
Now, that street clothes argument was presented by his lawyer yesterday. It's the same one that was used by Luigi Mangione in his murder case. Well, things are going to look pretty crazy at BNA today and tomorrow. Flames, big emergency vehicles. But don't worry, it's all part of an emergency exercise aimed at keeping first responders up to date on what to do if there's a fire emergency involving an aircraft. Now, they'll start this at 8 o'clock this morning, should be finished by 11:30, but these exercises are back again tomorrow morning, same time, 8 to 11:30 in the morning. And comedian Nick Bargatze, he's hosting a new game show. It's being filmed here in Nashville. And they need some audience members. So this game show is 3 people guessing how everyday Americans answered outrageous questions. And the winner takes home the average American salary of $67,920. Well, tickets are free. Got to be 12 years or older to attend. The dates are November 1st through the 4th. Happens at Nashville Municipal Auditorium. I've got all that information and a link for how to get tickets on my X account. You can find me there at Joan Jones WTN. That is the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 632, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. By the way, coming up, a deep dive into Donald Trump's trip to Asia, coming up with our friends at the Heritage Foundation. Listen, if the holidays are coming up and it always makes you feel awkward, uncomfortable, embarrassed because you feel like you're not presenting the best you, and maybe you want to slim down for the holidays, my friends at Contours, they can help you with a belly buster special for a great price right now for the first 10 callers. That's right. $99 gets you a belly buster special. Friends, that is a big time reduced price. Call this number right now. Slim down for the holidays. Most people lose a couple of inches across the middle. 615-236-9960. Taking advantage of Contour's cutting-edge red light technology, it is not only incredibly unique, but it is incredibly effective as well. Folks have been coming from all across Middle Tennessee to check out Contours. 615-236-9960. Get that belly buster special for only $99. Red light technology, it is, by the way, all the rage these days. Check it out. If you don't really know much about it, if you don't really know much about red light technology, then check out Contours online, ContoursLLC.com. They explain the whole thing. ContoursLLC.com. $99 right now when you call this phone number at 615-236-9960. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. ContoursLLC.com. All you've got to lose is inches. 6:35, Nashville's Morning News. How do I depend on Xfinity? Well, let me count the ways. I've got a lot riding on my rock-solid internet from Xfinity. For example, young Riker, 11 years old. He's doing all that homework. He's doing a bunch of gaming as well. Online, courtesy of Xfinity. Amy, working all day long from home as well. And, of course, yours truly, always prepping, always doing shows from my basement as well. And yeah, all of that courtesy of my friends at Xfinity. I was a customer before I was an endorser. And by the way, if something does go wrong, they can make it right with 24/7 customer service for whenever you need it. And, with Riker in the house, again, he's 11, it is critical that we are able to check out what he's watching. And yes, with Xfinity, you can. You can depend on these folks, so check them out today. Online anytime, Xfinity.com. That's Xfinity.com, 1-800-XFINITY, or stop by a store today for Xfinity.
Okay, it's 40 westbound at the South Loop this morning past 2nd Avenue. That's exit 210C, where you'll find a right lane blocked off by an accident involving a dump truck and a car. Hendersonville on Vietnam Veterans Boulevard in the westbound lanes at New Shackle Island Road. It's stop-and-go traffic. There's an accident reported in that spot as well. Looks like they've opened up 40 westbound out in Dixon, but it is still very slow this morning. The accident, a truck that flipped over and lost its load. Most of it is on the side. 40 westbound before Centerville Dixon, exit number 163. That's where you'll find that accident this morning. And Berry Hill, 65 northbound past I-440. The right shoulder is taken up by a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.637, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. And I hate to do this, Joe, and I think we're trying to figure out if our guest is going to be there.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to figure out what is going on. If not, I have plenty of things to fill with.
It's not like there's not a whole lot to talk about,
No,
right?
there's nothing going on. RJ, what's going on? Just talk to me, RJ. What's happening?
Yeah, I tried calling twice. He's not picking up.
Okay, very good. That's okay, Joan. You know why?
Why?
Because I've got a mountain of content, and it happens to be on what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
So, did you see yesterday? Real quick, did you see yesterday the president when he arrives in Japan? He's doing a little dance.
Oh,
he's got
yeah.
all those people that are there, and he's.
What were they? They were like playing what? YMCA or something? They were playing something that.
Well, this is Trump arriving.
Yeah.
No, this is not it.
No.
I don't know what they were playing, but the thing I like about Trump,
They
you never
played the
really
Rocky
know what
theme
he's
at one
going to
point.
do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's doing just a little dance. The thing I like about Trump is he's not afraid to look silly.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And so he's out there, he's
confident.
having a good time. Yes, Joan, he's confident. And so if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you see that, President Trump is doing the, very formal handshaking line as he goes down the line. And he's had a lot of wins in Japan. He was welcomed by the Japanese delegation. By the way, all of this is just warm up because on Thursday, he is going to be meeting with Xi Jinping and everyone there in China. We're going to get into that here in a second because everything the president is doing right now, and really, the majority of Donald Trump's foreign policy, honestly, even if China is not involved directly, it is in response to China. Like just about everything that Donald Trump does has a China component. Now, yesterday, in Japan. And by the way, Joan, I'm gonna ask you, what is your official pronunciation for the Japanese Prime Minister?
Haha. Good luck with that.
I've got Sanae Takaichi is what I've got.
I'm going with what you got because, I was on vacation.
Yes.
And I just didn't pay attention.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So yesterday, Trump signed a deal with the Japanese Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, and it's going to see the United States charge 15% tariffs on imported Japanese goods, lower than the 25% initially suggested by Donald Trump. And in exchange, Japan has pledged to invest $550 billion in U.S. industry and open its market to American rice, cars, and defense equipment. We were talking earlier about the fact that Toyota is going to be investing a whole bunch of money in their plants here in America. I think part of what Donald Trump does, and any good negotiator will tell you this, is that he goes in, he says, okay, so I'm going to suggest a 25% tariff. He knows darn right well that that's not where the tariff is going to land. He knows that there's all kinds of negotiation that is going to take place, and that is exactly what happened in Japan, where he says, I'm going to threaten or suggest 25%, but then he's got a bottom line of probably like 15%. That's all part of the negotiation. But the president, and again, I think this was a very successful trip. He's going to meet with, he's on his way to South Korea. I think he's going to meet with North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un. Is he not? I think he's going to be doing that today. And then tomorrow is, again, China. And I've got some details on that coming up. But big wins for Donald Trump. And yes, big wins for America as well. The president did set the stage early with some kind words for the Japanese prime minister. This is what he had to say. And by the way, this is the Sanae Takaichi. This is the first female Japanese prime minister. Did you know, Joan, that she plays drums?
And she drives a motorcycle.
She drives a motorcycle too, Joan.
Yeah.
She's also like a massive car enthusiast.
She's a massive car enthusiast as well. So I think this is great. And President Trump seems to love her.
I have always had a great love of Japan and a great respect of Japan. And I will say that this will be a relationship that will be stronger than ever before. And I look forward to working with you. And on behalf of our country, I want to just let you know, anytime you have any question, any doubt, anything you want, any favors you need, anything I can do to help Japan, we will be there. We are an ally at the strongest level, and it's a great honor to be with you, especially so early in what will be, I think, one of the greatest prime ministers. I think you will be one of the great, everything I know from Shinzo and others, you will be one of the great prime ministers. I'd also like to congratulate you on being the first woman prime minister. That's a big deal. That's a big deal, and I want to congratulate you on that. I think that has to be called out. And you're going to do a fantastic job, and we're going to have a fantastic relationship. Thank you very much.
So the president, obviously paying his respect. And by the way, one of the big successes coming out of this, they've come to an agreement on a minerals deal that will see us trading minerals. And so this is where China comes in. China has been putting restrictions on their own exporting of minerals, right? So Donald Trump has been going to Japan, Australia, and Ukraine to make these mineral deals because, as I mentioned previously in the show, we have a situation in America where, and frankly around the world, where the world is too dependent on China. And so when I say that a lot of the things that Donald Trump does from an economic or foreign policy aspect has ties or tentacles in China. So in this case, a lot of our minerals were coming from China, and then they decided that they were going to cut their exports, which means that, fewer minerals for us, which means that we've got to make arrangements elsewhere. The best reaction to that is just start making deals elsewhere. Just tell China to go stick it. I mean, I know that we can't, but he should. 74% approval rating. Takaichi out there in Japan, she's got a 74% approval rating in Japan. Now, she just got elected. So there's some time to see how she does. But I mean, I think it's great. So now we've got a great deal, or at least what sounds like a great deal for both Japan and America. The real story, though, is going to be on Thursday when Trump meets with China. Scott Bessent has been talking about the lead up to these high stakes meetings. I've got the details there coming up. It is 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Dixon, 40 westbound is reopened at Center. Dixon accident is off on the shoulder at the South Loop. 40 westbound past 2nd Avenue. We've got a crash in the right lane. Hendersonville, Vietnam Veterans Boulevard westbound, an accident at New Shackle Island Road. I'm Christy O'Brien.
As far as your weather goes for today, it is going to be cloudy with a shower in spots and a high of 62, feeling like 61. And I do appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, yeah, the big deal, the big meeting is coming up on Thursday with President Trump and the Chinese President Xi. Now, they've come up with previous meetings. They've had meetings leading up to the two presidents meeting. Remember that President Trump said that he was going to tariff China at 100%. Now, as I said earlier, I think part of what Donald Trump likes to do is he likes to go in, he likes to throw down the hammer and then sort of work backwards and see where they can go. But China, President Trump has been warning us of China for a long time. Remember when Joe Biden said, and I know that you folks have been listening for a while, when Joe Biden said, oh, yeah, China, they're not, bad folks. They actually are. They actually are. They steal our intellectual property. They hack us. They spy on us. I mean, it's the whole thing. They buy up our land. So China is our enemy. Make no doubt, China is our enemy. And that's why I think it is so important that we have a president in Donald Trump, unlike Joe Biden, that actually recognizes China as the enemy to America that they are. And so Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Face the Nation and Margaret Brenneman, is Brennan, I think. Is it Brennan? Whatever. That, you know what? That 100% tariff is now off the table. This is how that conversation went.
Margaret, I think we had a very good 2-day meeting. I would believe that so it would be an extra 100% from where we are now. And I believe that is effectively off the table. I'm not going to get ahead of the two leaders who will be meeting in Korea on Thursday, but I can tell you we had a very good 2 days. So I would expect that the threat of the 100% has gone away, as has the threat of the immediate imposition of the Chinese initiating a worldwide export control regime.
Yep. So that is Scott Bessent. And I think for the Treasury Secretary, this has been something that they have been looking forward to, is finally getting a deal in place with China. It's been a long road. And we make no mistake about it. We, in my opinion anyway, we do not have a good relationship with China at all. Remember, one of the things that President Trump has been saying all along is that you can't trust China. And bottom line is, you simply can't.
Deals, that'll be lifted?
Well, it was never imposed. So they threatened to impose it in December, and President Trump, to give me and the trade team leverage, decided that it would be a good idea for him to threaten 100% additional tariff, and it did give us a great deal of leverage. President Trump's very good at creating leverage for us.
That's what I was saying, because the question was, all right, so President Trump had this threat of 100% tariff, and she's saying, okay, so is that lifted? And what Bessent is saying is, yeah, listen, when the president does that, that is how the man negotiates. That really does set the table to tell our enemy, China, who we're negotiating with, that tells them we're not afraid to drop a 100% tariff if that is what we need to do. It is 6:50 on Nashville's Morning News, so I can't wait to see how this whole thing plays out. 6:50, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. By the way, we are live and local 5 a.m., 7 p.m., so we'll have updates on everything going on with the president's trip to Asia all day long. And right now, Joan Jones has the news coming up at 7. And Joan, what's coming up?
There is a new investigation that begins today at that munitions plant that exploded, killing 16 people. Details of that coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Benson Show. Weekdays noon to 3 and streaming on the Super Talk 99.7 WTN app.
Dan Mandis here, talking about my friends at the Glock store. It is the end of October. Now, time sure flies, and before you know it, the holidays will be here. And if you need to plan a holiday party for your company, maybe even for yourself, your friends, your family, why not throw the party that everyone will be talking about for years to come at the Glock store? Now, they've got a beautiful party room that can host almost any size party from 10 to 100, and it comes with a dedicated shoot room or rooms, depending on the party size, with personal, professional firearm instructors. And don't forget to ask about the full auto option. Now, that is a party that your friends and family will always remember. Just call the Glock store, the retail showroom. That phone number is 615-682-6565, 615-682-6565, and ask to speak to the retail manager, or just stop on by and check it out. Now, they're going to help you plan the perfect party, including catering, if you need it. They've got a great kitchen as well. You really should make your party plans right now, because at the Glock store, they sell out the best dates every year, and that happens early. So make sure you call them, 615-682-6565. Plan the perfect holiday party at the Glock store, 615-682-6565. The Glock store, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Dan Mendes here from Mark Spain Real Estate. Listen, you can skip the hassle of a traditional home sale and sell your home quickly with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. No showings, no open houses, and no stress. Now, I always recommend Mark Spain Real Estate to my friends here in Nashville because I can trust they are going to sell their homes hassle-free with a strong all-cash offer. As a matter of fact, with Mark Spain Real Estate, you want to talk about a history of success. Mark Spain Real Estate is the #1 most reviewed real estate company in the U.S. with over 13,000 five-star reviews. You can trust my friends to sell your home fast and for maximum profit. They've been helping homeowners sell their homes for nearly 30 years, and they've served over 72,000 satisfied customers. So call them if you need to get out of your home quickly because you want to move into your dream home. Call Mark Spain Real Estate. They can help you out today. 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD, or you can go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing. $6:56 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Matthew Hurt is going to be joining us coming up after the news at about 7:35, 7:36. There's a lot going on politically when it comes to the government shutdown. Number one, who is to blame? But number two, I don't know if you've seen this. I know that we've kind of sort of talked about this before, but Gavin Newsom is really exposing himself to be, I don't know, what's the right word to say? Joan, what's a good word to use to describe Gavin Newsom?
Jerky?
Jerky? Yeah. I don't know if I can say what I was going to say on the radio, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's as clean as I could probably get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what I want to say, but I can't. So, but he's becoming so incredibly unlikable. And it's interesting because he and Joe Rogan, they're going back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
And I like what Joe Rogan had to say. You know why I like what Joe Rogan has to say? Because I was right. So a while ago, Newsom was basically bad-mouthing Joe Rogan for not having Newsom on his show. And Rogan's like, well, I was going to ask you on, but if you're going to be like that about it, I'm not going to bother. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants a contentious interview. Well, some people like that. I don't. And Joe Rogan doesn't like that because Newsom is coming on to not talk about ideas. This is why Rogan won't have him on. Newsom is not coming on to exchange ideas or, talk about, have a genuine, honest discussion about the issues. The only reason why Gavin Newsom wants to go on Joe Rogan's show is to defend himself. That's why he wants to go on the show. He wants to defend himself and he wants to bash Donald Trump. When Donald Trump went on Joe Rogan's show, and this is why Newsom wants to go on Rogan's show, is because he saw the power of having a conversation with Rogan. But you see, Trump went on Joe Rogan's show, and it was an engaging, fun conversation.
Yes.
And Rogan asked some tough questions of Donald Trump, and Trump answered them. But I just don't see those two having a productive conversation, Joe Rogan and Gavin Newsom. I just don't. Because I think that Newsom, he has really exposed his inner a-hole. Is the only way that I can say that. You know what I mean? So he is a genuinely not a likable character. And even if I was a Democrat, I wouldn't like him.
Yeah, you call it the inner a-hole, but he wears his a-hole on his sleeve.
He sure does, man. He's proud of it, actually. But, the Democrats, the attitude of the Democrats is always like, go get him, go get him. And so I think, his kind of attitude is emblematic of a good portion of the Democrats. All right, it is 7 o'clock. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Got a lot more straight ahead. News with Joan Jones coming up right now.
Well, hello there. It is 7 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're at 57 degrees. It's overcast right now. We may get to 65 degrees later on this afternoon. Stefano thinks maybe in the low 60s today. It's day 28 of the government shutdown, and ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reports even one federal employees union is calling on the Democrats to go ahead and fund a clean continuing resolution.
Some Republicans have proposed standalone bills to fund specific programs, but Democrats have voted them down. The largest union representing federal workers is now urging Democrats to vote to reopen the government. But Democrats not budging on their demand that health care subsidies be extended.
That is a non-starter for Republicans who say they don't want to see Americans continue to pay for health care for illegal aliens. Well, something stinks in Murfreesboro. The mayor of the town admits that complaints about a bad odor from the Middle Point landfill significantly increased this year, and he doesn't blame residents.
If you're asking me, would I want to get in the river out there next to the landfill, I'd say heck no. We listen to people who inspect these things. We listen to our experts. This is one of the worst run landfills in the country.
Last month, the city sent that landfill owners a notice of violations of the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act over test results that showed the landfill keeps discharging waste into the East Fork Stones River, and that provides drinking water for Rutherford County and the city of Murfreesboro. There is a portal where residents can submit complaints about that landfill, and I've posted a link to that portal on my X account. You can find me on X at Joan Jones WTN. There's a new investigation that opens today at AES. WSMV4's Marius Payton tells us that the U.S. Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board is now getting involved in the explosion there.
Deploying a team there this week now that the ATF has completed its initial evaluation of the scene. The Chemical Safety Board will do an initial assessment of the area and will meet with AES management, the ATF, and other officials to try to figure out what happened.
So far, the ATF determined that thousands of pounds of what they call high explosives ignited in a production area at AES. 16 people were killed. And Jamaica is bracing for the arrival of Hurricane Melissa, now a Cat 5 storm.
Hurricane Melissa bringing life-threatening winds up to 175 miles per hour. Some American tourists trapped after all major airlines shut down, including Jonesboro, Arkansas residents Maritza Caver Blake and her husband celebrating their 10-year anniversary, now unable to get home to their 4- and 8-year-old kids.
They were expecting their parents back on Sunday. We don't want to tell them Mommy and Daddy is stuck in another country.
Air Force hurricane hunters trying to fly into the eye of the storm. The turbulence so severe, they were forced to turn back.
That's ABC's Ika Jochi. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. We've got Dow futures pointing up 175 right now. NASDAQ futures plus 40. S&P futures are gaining 6. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. So out in Dixon, just to keep you informed here, 40 westbound, that crash this morning just before the Centerville-Dixon exit is still there, but it's on the shoulder now. That one involves a truck that flipped over and lost its load. Hermitage, 40 westbound at Stewart's Ferry Pike, exit 219. There's a crash on the right shoulder. And at the Fairgrounds, Nolensville Pike, at Craighead Street, there's a crash as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, I got it now. Yep. Get over it. Huh? All right, Joan, I got it.
What'd you get?
Remember, I was trying to figure out what I was trying to decide the name that I have for Gavin Newsom, and I wasn't sure that I was allowed to say it on the radio.
Oh, but you got some clarification on that?
I got some clarification. I wanted to call him a tool.
Okay.
Now, I've never really understood what exactly a tool is because I'm not necessarily a name caller. So I asked RJ, okay, what is the definition of a tool? Because I wanted to make sure that I didn't say anything that I'm not supposed to say on the radio. So a tool is...
From the Urban Dictionary of the Internet, a tool is someone who gives up their personality to be with the cool kids or is not smart enough to realize they are being used.
So there you go. Now, I don't know if that's appropriate for Gavin Newsom or not. I'm going to talk to Matthew Hurt right now and find out. I don't know, Gavin, Matthew, do you think that is an appropriate term for Gavin Newsom, a tool?
Well, Dan, this is Matthew from Standards.
Yes.
And no, I think you're absolutely okay. You don't have to push the dump button this morning. But Gavin Newsom, he feels like a used car salesman. I can't imagine a situation where voters outside of California in a hypothetical 2028 presidential election would find Gavin Newsom an attractive candidate outside of his San Francisco good looks.
Do you believe, we were talking earlier about this whole battle going on between he and Joe Rogan. And Rogan is quoted as saying, I would have had him on, but he's being such a jerk that there's no reason for me to have him on if that's going to be the way that he's going to be. If Joe Rogan finally decided to have Newsom on, do you think that would be good or bad for Gavin Newsom?
Yeah, I think Joe Rogan is a fair interviewer. I do too. I've listened to thousands of hours of Joe Rogan where he's interviewed Bernie Sanders and conservative leaders and musical guests and comedians. And the guy just wants to have a good conversation. I think if Gavin Newsom is human and not a lizard person like I think he actually is.
He is a total lizard person. Gavin Newsom is a lizard person.
He should be able to have a conversation. And, Gavin Newsom had a conversation with Charlie Kirk on the podcast before Charlie's assassination, and it was fine. Yeah. I don't understand. I do think, though, if you think about professional wrestling and other arenas, this is sort of the drama before the big fight. So I think if Gavin Newsom and Joe Rogan sit down for a few hours and talk about policy and culture, I think it would be a genuinely interesting conversation.
Well, one of the things I've noticed because you're right, Newsom, he went through like a 3-week period and then we're going to move on to other things, but Newsom went through like a 3-week period where he was truly trying to look more moderate and bipartisan. I don't know if you remember that. It only lasted 3 weeks, and then he started going on the attack against Donald Trump. It was almost like, and that's when he had Charlie Kirk on his podcast. He had somebody else on there, and I can't remember who it was. But then he started launching the attacks on Donald Trump. He got the stupid little, the Twitter thing, the X posts where he was pretending to be Donald Trump, and he went in the completely opposite direction. So I think he wanted to look moderate for like 3 to 4 weeks, and then he just turned into this, as you say, this lizard person that he's become.
Well, Dan, this is quintessential listening to your consultants. I suspect he had one consultant in Sacramento who said, you know what, you should try being the middle of the road guy. And then they ran a poll in San Francisco and it didn't work out. And about 3 weeks later, he changed his tune. That is 100% the kind of politician that Gavin Newsom is, somebody who would listen to consultants and polling. And it is not a surprise to me that he changed his tune. This guy is a chameleon, which is also a kind of lizard, Dan. He hasn't disproven my point.
There you go.
And I definitely think that, he is gearing up toward a 2028 presidential election, and he's trying to find his lane in the Democratic Party. And all of the candidates are going to run far left, further left than Kamala Harris, and he now has to go figure out what that is. And it's probably an HOV lane in the Pacific Coast Highway where you've got to have 12 humans and a lizard in the car to be able to use it.
In other news, this just came out this morning. Headline: James Comer unleashes on Joe Biden, demands DOJ probe of auto pen use in scathing new report. Of course, you know that they've been looking into this. Comer says Biden's auto pen actions should be considered void and that his doctor should potentially lose his license. So, clearly the Republicans in House Oversight, they're not going to let this auto pen thing go away. Do you really believe at some point that a lot of those, or maybe all of those actions that Joe Biden did utilizing the auto pen could be considered void?
Dan, you and I talked about this a couple of months ago, and I think in the transition between Joe Biden's presidency and incoming President Donald Trump, it is not even clear that Joe Biden was in the room.
Right.
So Democrats want to talk about the threat to democracy. The true threat to democracy is a dozen, quote unquote, experts in the Oval Office or in the Eisenhower Executive Office building hitting go on an auto pen on things that Joe Biden didn't even know was happening. And I think one of those is the pardons and commutations that happened at the end, the couple thousand of those. He had no idea any of this was happening. This is not how the American constitutional republic works. We elect a president to make decisions. Now, does he delegate some of those decisions to other authorities in the executive branch? Sure. But it looks like these were, quote unquote, Democrat experts running amok with the auto pen. It's very concerning.
You hear what Steve Bannon said the other day, where he was on with, I think it was the BBC, and I played this yesterday, where he's talking about how they are devising a plan to come up with a third term, allowing Donald Trump to run for a third term despite the 22nd Amendment. And I wasn't really surprised to see that over the last couple of days, President Trump has endorsed now Andy Ogles, of course, 5th Congressional District Congressman. Andy was the first guy when Trump just came into his office for the second term. Andy was out there, and I think he submitted legislation or something that would allow Trump to run for a third term. And so now you've got Steve Bannon saying the same thing. Trump himself is, not really directly addressed it. He has, given people hats that says Trump 2028, almost like a kind of like a troll. But what do you think about this?
I like the troll side of this, but I think George Washington had it right. Last week, Dan, we talked about presidents. I'll come back in a few weeks with more presidential trivia. But George Washington served 2 terms. He returned to Mount Vernon. I think we saw what happened to America under FDR, a 3.5-term president. But the broader question for America First activist supporters and voters is who does come after Donald Trump. You and I have talked about J.D. Vance is carving out that lane for 2028, and you and I have also talked about if another Republican sort of tries to outshine Donald Trump in the news cycle, he or she may get whacked by the president. But I do think there is a philosophy, there's a governing philosophy to America First, as Donald Trump was able to articulate in his first and now his second term, and voters and Americans and supporters of the president should be looking to what comes next. because the success of a movement is when the leader moves on, the sort of instigator of the movement moves on, and what is next? Who is left in the space? And I think groups like America First Policy Institute and others are building out a sustainable America First policy scope or space that will allow those leaders to rise to the occasion.
Do you think, and I have spoken, whether it's nationally on Red Eye Radio or here in Nashville, where there's a lot of people who are diehard Trump supporters that are like, no. Two terms is enough. We got J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio and Ron DeSantis and others, I'm sure, that are just waiting for their opportunity. Just from what we know about the Republican Party, do you think more Trump supporters are for or against this idea? Do you have any thought on that? I think that the majority of them are like, no, we want to see what's going to happen next. We're pumped about J.D. Vance.
Well, I think there are plenty of opportunities out there. You have to square, am I willing to support my preferred presidential candidate over historic precedent and constitutional limitations? And I do think there are more exciting, I do personally think J.D. Vance is an exciting figure. He's a young guy. He's just a couple of years older than me, serving as vice president. And so there is longevity in this movement, and people who can take the torch from President Trump at the end of a second term. I think it'll be a successful second term, and keep going on with a comprehensive governing philosophy that puts America first, that puts the American worker first, that prioritizes families, that secures the borders, and that keeps our streets safe. And I think that is what many people who support the president are looking for, is long-term viability of this political ideology.
I think Hakeem Jeffries is also a lizard person.
He's not America First for sure. He looks great in a sombrero.
Real quick, got to check the roads on WTN. Cloudy with showers and spots, a high of 62. People on the super text line, Matthew, are chiming in as to who they believe in the political world are lizard people. I've always thought that Nancy Pelosi is either like a lizard person or somebody from out of this world, if you know what I mean. So, and people are having fun with that. The president, one of the things that I thought was interesting is, and I've been covering this, he's asking for, or his people are asking for, his lawyers, $230 million, a reimbursement from the FBI for all of the lawsuits and the legal issues that he had over the 4 years that Joe Biden was in office, and also during the Russian collusion and all of that kind of stuff. There's no doubt that President Trump was the victim of just, I would say, a corrupt legal system in Washington, D.C. And so he is now asking for $230 million for reimbursement. And the president says, well, that the lawyers are handling that or whatever it is. But I don't know. What do you think about that? I think it's really interesting, because I would say that I believe that he deserves the money, in the sense that this is a man, Donald Trump, who was perpetually the victim of what I would say rampant politicized legal system in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, President Trump was the target of an unprecedented witch hunt over years and years and years. We see some of it with the Steele dossier. It is very clear the Biden administration used the levers of government to target the president and his allies. And it is common. It is common when a consumer is wronged in the marketplace that consumer is made whole. Normally, if you buy a faulty product and you're injured, you're made whole through the court system. The big question mark is, how does that work when the government wrongs you? We see frequently at the local level, people who are wronged by local police departments and other government agencies seek damages. So President Trump is seeking damages. I think it is a much more complicated question at the federal level, particularly with the FBI and federal law enforcement. But the premise is the same. When someone is wronged, either in the marketplace or by the government, there are mechanisms to make that person whole, generally with financial compensation, and I think it is a reasonable question to ask.
Well, yeah, and there's, in the world of law, sometimes the loser pays the winner's legal fees. I mean, that is very common in the world of lawyering and law and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be interesting because, here he is, the president of the United States, and he would essentially be suing at this point his own FBI, but really he's going after Joe Biden's FBI and the FBI of the past. Last question that I have, Matthew, is in California, it does look like they had the redistricting efforts. They had to have it on a referendum. And it looks like that referendum is actually going to pass, and the people of California will approve the referendum that would allow redistricting in the state of California, obviously in time for the midterm elections. Have you and your folks, have you done all of the math and see, with all of the redistricting, with Texas at play and I think Missouri and of course California, if everybody gets their redistricting done, which side is going to end up with more seats in the House of Representatives?
It's a great question, Dan, and California is putting it to the voters. In Virginia, the Democrats put redistricting to the voters a number of years ago, enshrined it in the Constitution, and yesterday opened a special session to radically redraw the congressional lines. It is in violation of Virginia's Constitution, but they are trying to run roughshod. I think, look, if Californians who vote at the ballot box want to redraw their lines, that is a question for California. But the difference this week is that 51 elected Democrats in the Commonwealth of Virginia are deciding to subvert the vote of millions of Virginians to establish a nonpartisan redistricting commission a couple of years ago. And I think it is bad for Virginia, but also if you zoom out into the midterm elections, it's bad for those numbers for Republicans in the House. I think we've got great Republicans at the state level in Virginia who are doing the hard work, and that is why next week, 7 days from now, if the Attorney General Jason Miyares, the Republican, isn't reelected, we're going to have some problems in Virginia, because he would be the one to sue the state to protect the district lines as they were drawn by the nonpartisan commission.
Wow.
So California can do what they want, and I think it's okay for them to make that vote. But what is happening in Virginia is a subversion of democracy, plain and simple, and it is really concerning to me.
By the Democrats.
By the Democrats.
All right. And they're the ones that are always calling us a threat to democracy, just to be clear. Let's see here. Shut down, 13 votes by the Republicans, and Democrats have voted no every time to reopen the government. Who do you think is going to get the blame? 30 seconds.
So unions are now coming out in favor of a clean CR. So far left funding mechanism is now supporting the Republican clean CR, the same CR that Democrats supported a year ago. And I think the tide is turning. It'll be slow. It'll hurt the economy in Northern Virginia more than it will hurt any other place in the country. But it looks like cooler heads are going to prevail, and Republicans may eke this out.
All right. Matthew Hurt, how can people find you on X?
You can find all my Lizard People tweets on X at Matthew Hurt, MattheWHurtt.
All right, we'll talk to you next time, and always great analysis. It is 7:24 on Nashville's Morning News. Joan's got the news coming up at 7:30. And Joan, by the way, a real quick programming note.
Yeah.
So Jeff, what is his name, Smith, the guy from the Heritage Foundation was supposed to be with us at 6:35. He's going to be here at 7:35.
Okay.
So apparently we got our time zones crossed. So everything you want to know about President Trump's trip to Asia is coming up here in about 10 minutes. And Joan's got the news in 6. Joan.
Yeah, coming up here, we'll tell you about candy. Well, it looks like candy, but it's actually THC edibles. And there's a warning about these candies ending up in your kids' Halloween bags. That story's coming up here at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey guys, if you can feel your energy slipping away, you could have low testosterone. Now, my friends at Synergenex and Low T Center, they can help you reach out and take a quick and simple T-test and get back on track with pharmaceutical-grade testosterone. Now, some of these other places They compound their testosterone, so you don't even know what you're getting or if it's even going to work. Now, Synergenex and Low T Center, they've helped guys at work, the gym, and love. What can they do for you? Find out with a quick trip to the clinic at trtmvp.com. That's trtmvp.com. The best you is waiting. Guys who have taken TRT say it has completely changed their lives, and you can too. You can get treated at home or at one of their many clinics around town. Listen, when it comes to where you go to feel like you again, choose the MVPs of TRT, Synergenex, and Low T Center. Online, trtmvp.com. That's trtmvp.com.
Good morning, now 7:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Well, President Trump says the U.S. and China have agreed to a framework for a trade deal.
More than 6 months after he launched his trade war with China, President Trump now says a deal could be at hand.
But nothing has been agreed to yet.
How do you feel?
But we feel good. I mean, we feel good.
The administration says they've reached the framework of an agreement that covers fentanyl and tariffs and includes a pledge by China to resume buying American agriculture like soybeans and to loosen restrictions on their sale of rare earth minerals, critical for making smartphones and cars.
That's ABC News correspondent Rachel Scott. Closer to home, the lawsuit filed by Nashville Rep. Justin Jones against his Republican colleagues has been tossed out by a federal judge. WSMV4's Tracy Cornett.
Jones filed a lawsuit in 2023 after he was expelled from the chamber with Representatives Justin Pearson and Gloria Johnson. He claimed that was a violation of his First and 14th Amendment rights.
The judge dismissing every single count. There were 6 of them, saying, for the most part, that Justin Jones didn't have standing. Well, here comes Halloween, and there are some warnings for parents to look for THC edibles that look like candy. Michigan Police Lieutenant John Grajewski.
Look for unusual symbols, unusual odors, anything that may indicate this isn't normal. And if you're a child and you're not sure what you have, go to an adult.
Yeah, in California, several third graders became sick after eating these candies. On the stock market this morning, the futures market is rising sharply higher now after some big gains and some new record highs on Wall Street yesterday. The Dow futures right now up 233. That is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 7:32, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. You know, I've been telling you for years about my friends at United Structural Systems. They're experts in waterproofing, concrete leveling, and foundation repair. Now, this is a great company. They have helped me several times with my home. That is why I proudly endorse United Structural Systems. A lot of rain this week. They can help you with waterproofing. I'm one of 30,000 satisfied customers. Now, one recent review on Google, guy says at USS they were highly professional. The crew is phenomenal from start to finish. They treated his home as if they were working on their own, and he does give USS 5 stars all the way, and so do I. Now, United Structural Systems, they're not going to charge you for any unnecessary repairs, and you won't pay a dime until the work is done and you are a satisfied customer. Now, listen, they can help you with a ton of stuff. They can help you with basement and crawl space waterproofing, basement wall stabilization, foundation repair, to name just a few. We guarantee our best. Call USS 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, USSTN.com.
Hermitage, you've got 40 westbound this morning at Stewart's Ferry Pike exit 219 with a crash there on the right shoulder. Also a crash in Belmont on Wedgwood Avenue at I-65. Now, you do have a problem this morning in Berry Hill, I-440 eastbound at I-65. There's a crash on the right shoulder. And then one in East Bank as well on James Robertson Parkway right at I-24. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.36 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends, and I want to welcome on into the program Jeff Smith, foreign policy expert with the Heritage Foundation, and you are also director of the Asian Studies Center there at Heritage. And Jeff, appreciate you joining us on Nashville's Morning News.
Really happy to be here. Thank you.
So let's talk about Donald Trump and his trip to Asia. Now, first of all, he was in Japan yesterday, coming away from it with some trade agreements. And one of the things that I believe that President Trump is always trying to do is neutralize China as best as he can. Talk about, and then we'll get into some specifics, but talk about what is Donald Trump's main goal as he continues this trip in Asia?
Yeah, well, we think and we hope neutralizing China is a big part of it. You know, we're definitely consider ourselves China hawks in the Asian Studies Center at the Heritage Foundation. So we were encouraged to see a few things early on. One was a deal for rare earths that he made in Malaysia, and that's an increasingly important sort of front against China, because earlier this year, they announced that they were, in fact, just last month, they announced that they were going to implement a new export control regime around rare earth minerals. And, you know, essentially the Chinese have a stranglehold over this, like, key supply that goes into a variety of different mechanical products, from cars to cell phones. And China spent several decades sort of becoming the key choke point supplier of rare earth processed material, and they're starting to wield that weapon against the United States. So we can talk about that more in a bit, but one of the agreements that President Trump struck in Asia was an agreement to begin helping to diversify sources of these rare earth minerals and magnets. The second thing he did was travel to Japan, which many of us consider to be America's top ally in Asia, a treaty ally, a place where we have, you know, multiple military bases and tens of thousands of soldiers. Japan just elected a new prime minister who is very much a strong conservative, likely very ideologically aligned with President Trump. She's a disciple of a famous Japanese Prime Minister, Shinzo Abe, who also got along with President Trump. So I think a big part of the reason to stop there was to get some face time with the new Prime Minister and hopefully, you know, sign a few trade agreements and get that relationship off on the right foot very early.
One of the things that the president has come up with is that there's a big deal with Toyota. They're going to start, I guess, manufacturing cars here, investing in our economy. And, of course, the big news is the mineral deal. The president has also, by the way, come up with a mineral deal and working with a mineral deal with Australia and, of course, Ukraine. One of the things I thought was interesting is that he's trying to set up a meeting with Kim Jong-un of North Korea. Do you think that's going to happen?
I'm a little skeptical just because of how much, well, first of all, because of how non-transparent the North Korean regime is, but also, excuse me, the amount of prep work that usually goes into a leader-level meeting like that. I mean, it's normally weeks of preparation. Now, Donald Trump is the kind of sort of unconventional diplomacy embracer that will take a meeting on 24 hours notice or 48 hours notice. He's not afraid to do it. In fact, he'd do it in a heartbeat. I don't know that the North Korean side is necessarily as quick to pull the trigger on a meeting like that. But I think just talking, maybe it does happen, and if it does, I think it would be mostly an opportunity to lay the groundwork for a bigger and more substantive meeting maybe later this year or next year. I think it's a long shot, but the truth is no other president has had any great success with North Korea. You know, everyone talks a tough game, and they just keep marching toward greater and greater missile and nuclear capabilities. So I kind of support the idea we should at least give diplomacy a try.
So with the North Korea, let me ask you this. What would be the purpose of meeting with North Korea?
Well, ideally, I think the main thrust, the main goal of U.S. policy toward North Korea for the past few decades is to try to get them to denuclearize, to try to get them to dismantle their nuclear weapons program.
Yeah.
And ideally to maybe start slowing down their long-range missile program, which, you know, they're increasingly developing weapons that can touch the United States. Now, we do have missile defense systems, but, you know, it's just kind of to ratchet back tensions to the degree we can and maybe put some safeguards on their nuclear program so that they're not just building this massive arsenal or proliferating it, which is another concern of ours. You know, they might be sharing nuclear technology with other countries. So, you know, maybe through diplomacy we could get to a better place, de-escalate some tensions with South Korea. It's a long shot, but it's not impossible.
All right, so let's focus on China, because what I've been saying is, you know, really Japan and some of these other places that he's stopping to, really the main thing here is China. So President Trump and Xi Jinping, they're supposed to meet on Thursday. Donald Trump going in, he was threatening a 100% tariff on China. Scott Bessent is now saying that they've had some negotiations. That deal is now off the table. But one of the things that Scott Bessent said is that when Donald Trump does that, really what he's doing is he is setting the bar for what these negotiations are going to be like. So President Trump says, all right, you know what? 100% tariff on China. And then Bessent has to go in there and he is able to, he's got some leverage against China as they work on a bigger deal. So what do you think is going to happen? Do you have any predictions with this big meeting with President Trump and Xi Jinping? And has that deal already been struck and now it's just time to, you know, time for the two leaders to meet face to face?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I have some concerns about where China policy has been headed over the past few months and really what China has been doing over the past few months. I do think it's likely we're going to get some kind of deal this week. And, you know, Bessent and Greer and the trade negotiators said that, you know, in talks the last few days, they essentially came up with a framework that they were going to present to the two leaders to sign. I think that it is likely they sign some framework that will, at a minimum, bring us back from the brink. There's these sort of, each country had a loaded gun pointed at the other one. The Chinese have said they're going to implement this rare earth export control regime. They announced that last month, and this is really a big deal. And again, we can talk about that more, but essentially they were going to say any raw materials you need that are processed with any Chinese rare earth minerals is going to require a license from us. And that would essentially give the Chinese Communist Party the opportunity to turn on and off the U.S. economy at will. And so President Trump heard that and said, okay, if you're going to go through with that, then you're going to get 100% tariffs. And that was the leverage, I think, that Bessent and others needed. Now, the early rumors are that the Chinese have agreed to delay the regime. They're not going to withdraw it. They're not going to cancel it. They're going to delay it. And, that's problematic because I don't want that gun pointed at my head in a year from now either, but that's better than next month. So I think what really this is about is buying the two sides more time to work through their differences before using these like nuclear options that frankly could really harm each other's economy.
I think one of the frustrating things for me is, and I'm a talk show host in Nashville, so what do I know? But, part of my frustration with Joe Biden was, when he said, oh, China, these are not, bad folks. And it really didn't take China seriously. Donald Trump for years has been taking China incredibly seriously. Is there a concern on your part that, we come to an agreement with China and then we go back to this sort of level of complacency where we continue to depend on China? I would like to see us break free from China as much as we possibly can.
Absolutely. No, really, and it's in some ways our fault because we should have learned this lesson after COVID.
Yep.
I mean, COVID, which, I feel very comfortable saying came out of a lab in Wuhan and was a lab leak, and I've got mountains of evidence for anyone that's skeptical of that. That should have been the wake-up call that when we figured out that all our, major and critical pharmaceutical supply chains ran through communist China. And we sort of did an inventory and realized, wow, this era of globalization, lots of stuff in our economy is dependent on China. And that's when we should have started moving quickly to decouple. But if anyone needed an additional reminder of the importance of that, I think these rare earth exports, that's the thing that's really concerning to me, is that China is acting differently now. They acted very belligerent toward their neighbors, have been doing that for over a decade now. They sort of lifted the veil, but they still, even as they sort of twisted the knife against the U.S. in a lot of ways, diplomatically they pretended to play nice. And now we're at a point where the Chinese are just openly being aggressive against the United States because they think their time has arrived.
Yeah.
And we really need to move quickly to decouple, or I fear we're going to find ourselves in an even worse situation. I do think Donald Trump gets that. I think he's in a somewhat tricky situation in that he knows there are still some key vulnerabilities that, it might take us a couple years to unwind before we have full autonomy and independence from China. And so there may be a little bit of a rocky road ahead in the short term.
I got to ask, Jeff, you can't see me. I am laughing because there's a muffler or something. Is that your car?
No, someone just passed me. It wasn't my car. But someone's muffler needs to get fixed.
My Lord, I'm laughing because as you're answering, the muffler is in the back. I can still hear what you're saying. It's just, I was wondering if that was your car. Anyway, whatever. So last question here, and great analysis. Do you think there is an opportunity? Do you think we'll ever be able to fully uncouple with China because of let's talk about the ingredients in medicine that we get from China. We get a lot from China. Is there actually a practical way for us to uncouple from China, to the extent that we really need to?
I think so. Yeah, I think, look, it's going to be a little bit painful and a little bit costly, but when we put our mind to something as a country, we can do it. In World War II, we built 150 aircraft carriers in the middle of the war, right? Now it takes us 10 years to build one. They're obviously more advanced, but look, the Chinese are doing it. They set their own goal many years ago to decouple from us. And they've been working toward that goal for the past decade. And now they're almost self-sufficient from the United States, which gives them significant leverage. So if they can do it, I'm pretty sure we can do it too.
Love it. Jeff Smith, how can people follow you on X? Are you on X?
I am on X. I don't tweet as much these days, but I'm on there. It's my tag name is Cold Peace.
All right, very good. And I'll go ahead and give you a follow. And Jeff, thank you very much for joining us. Jeff Smith, with the Heritage Foundation. 7:50 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 at WTN. Joan, did you hear that muffler?
I did. It was
Okay,
pretty
so
loud.
it wasn't like.
No, it wasn't just you.
Okay, I can be a little ADD or whatever sometimes. I'm like focused on the muffler, and I'm like, that can't just be me.
Nah, you're good.
All right.
We all heard it.
Yeah. All right. Very good. All right. It is, and you know, whoever was driving that car, it's kind of funny to think they had no idea that they were on the radio in Nashville, Tennessee. Anyway, 7:51. Joan's got the news at 8. Joan.
Yeah, so can Congress borrow from Peter to give to Paul? The answer from House Speaker Mike Johnson. Also, Nashville is growing again.
Nashville, a city of rhythm, growth, and bold.
And guess who's helping BNA announce an expansion? We've got that and more coming up here at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much. 7:51 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. The weather in Middle Tennessee can get crazy, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Super Center, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Get a free quote and get peace of mind when you have one installed. The Generator Super Center does feature expert installation, 24-hour monitoring as well. They're not going to leave you in the dark. And yes, financing is available. Call them. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 615-879-1952. When the power is out in your neighborhood, your power is going to be on, thanks to your backup home standby generator from the Generator Super Center. Find them online. It is GeneratorSuperCenterofNashville.com. GeneratorSuperCenterofNashville.com. Dan Mandis here for my friends at King & Associates. Listen, if you need to save money on insurance, check out my friends at King & Associates Insurance. Now, so many of my listeners have reached out to me over the years. Let me know that they've been able to save and save big with King & Associates Insurance. Now, one guy that I know, his 16-year-old daughter got into a car crash. She's fine, but they still saved him thousands of dollars when the time came for new insurance. You know why? Well, because at King & Associates, they know that life happens. And as independent agents, they can find you the best deal for your family. They're going to weed out the non-competitive companies and find the best options for you and keeping the communication flawless. Now, King & Associates know it's not only relationships with the best companies around, but also bundling home and auto that is going to save you money. King & Associates, they are going to fight for the best deal possible for you and your family. Now, you owe it to yourself to make that phone call. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-321-8121. 615-321-8121. Find out what the best deal is for you on home and auto as a business, family, or individual. Save money, get great insurance with King & Associates Insurance. 615-321-8121. Find them online anytime. tkinginsurance.com. 7:58, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line 615-737-9986. 615-737-WWTN. Do you know what I heard on social media, Joan?
What's that?
There was some dude who was spouting off about how if people came to his door dressed any kind of MAGA way, it's going to give the kids candy laced with fentanyl.
Oh.
Now, obviously, the guy's BSing, but can you imagine who? This is how insane these people are.
That's if they know who it is it somebody local? Are you talking local?
No, it was just online. It's just it's like one of these social media contagions.
Yeah.
Because I think it'd be great to go dressed as Donald Trump. I do. I think it'd be fun. I'm not dressing up for how is it okay for parents to dress up as Halloween? No?
I hate seeing parents out with parents out dressed in their costumes with
All
their
right, so
kids.
you missed it, Joan. Last night.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly Riker's going with, but he's got this long wig.
Oh.
So
he's Melania.
No, he's not Melania. But I, of course, couldn't help myself. But I put on the wig.
Yeah.
So it was like, reliving my late teen, early 20 years where I had hair down to my back.
Are there pictures?
No, I did start playing like air guitar and doing the whole, thing.
Yeah.
Amy told me to take it off. She did not find it humorous in any way, shape, or form.
I'm sorry, Dan.
You know what she said? Don't break the wig. Don't mess up the wig. Okay, fine, honey. And I put the wig down. She said this is why we can't have nice things in the house.
That's right.
All right. 8 o'clock, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories, letting you know first here that in Gallatin on Vietnam Veterans Boulevard, westbound side before Highway 31E, you've got a crash there and traffic very slow around that spot. In the news, as the government shutdown reaches day 28, questions are being raised about whether federal contingency funds can be used to help those who need food assistance. House Speaker Mike Johnson says the administration's hands are tied when it comes to using those funds.
The reason is because it's a finite source of funds. It was appropriated by Congress. And if they transfer funds from these other sources, it pulls it away immediately from school meals and infant formula.
Now, the USDA website published Saturday said the well has run dry and that Senate Democrats are responsible for the department's decision not to send out benefits on November 1st. Metro Council member Joy Kimbrough cleared of an ethics violation. She was accused of asking a developer for $500,000 in exchange for political support for his new project. After more than 8 hours of testimony yesterday, Kimbrough was cleared of that complaint. She insisted she never demanded any money from that developer. Get ready for more changes at Nashville International Airport. Another big expansion is about to kick off. A second terminal will be built on the south side of the airport. That announcement coming in a video featuring, of course, Trace Adkins.
Our airport. And with more passengers, more routes.
Just love his voice. The new terminal will have 5 concourses and multiple parking garages, and they say because of its location, they'll build it without disrupting any current traffic patterns. The
Did I ever tell you the time that I had Trace Adkins on the show?
Oh, no.
And he openly mocked the
Your
Cars
voice.
for Kids.
Oh.
Wow.
Sorry.
No, he openly mocked the Cars for Kids commercial.
Yeah.
That we used to run. They don't anymore, but we used to run those like every 3 minutes. It was a Cars for Kids commercial.
And he didn't like it.
I forget even why he was on, But he started bashing the Cars for Kids commercial. It was the greatest thing. I wish I had that on tape. It was funny as all get out. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So the Tennessee Department of Corrections is hitting the road on Halloween night. They say they're going to check on sex offenders whose convictions involve children. Now, TDOC says Operation Blackout involves making sure that the sex offenders understand they can't answer the door to trick-or-treaters or even turn on the front porch light. They're not allowed to wear a costume or host a party. They can't do fall activities like corn mazes, haunted houses, or hay rides. By the way, there are 26,000 registered sex offenders in Tennessee. And better change your passwords. An Australian security researcher says a stolen trove of 3.5 terabytes of data has just surfaced online. In it, more than 183 million email passwords, including tens of millions that are linked to Gmail accounts, Yahoo, and even Outlook.
You've got mail.
We've come a long way, baby. Cybersecurity analysts say that this is one of the biggest credential dumps ever uncovered. They say turn on two-step verification and adopt passkeys as a safer alternative to using passwords. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. The stocks are about to start trading in about 25 minutes, and the Dow futures are up 220 right now. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, that problem in Gallatin this morning. Vietnam Veterans Boulevard on the westbound side before Highway 31E. It's a crash that's taking up some traffic room there. Also, East Nashville, Woodland Street at South 5th Street. Watch for an accident. You've got an accident as well at Charlotte Pike and Sawyer Brown Road. One in Glencliff on Murfreesboro Pike at Plus Park Boulevard. Also in Belmont on Wedgwood Avenue at I-65. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.807 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and welcome on in to a Tuesday. It is October 28th of 2025. just a few days left, Joan, before the government, as the shutdown remains, that SNAP benefits will no longer be available to people in Minnesota, I should say, Tennessee.
Anywhere. Yeah.
Tennessee, or my mind's on Minnesota for another reason, across Tennessee or any place else across America. I want to welcome on into the program Mike Womack, Executive Director, Feed America First, one of the many food banks we have across Middle Tennessee. And Mike, let's talk a little bit about what is happening in Tennessee, because Governor Lee came out and said that we can't use, any kind of state funds to supplement or make good the money that people would be getting for their SNAP benefits because the government is shut down. So places like yours, food banks like yours, are stepping up. Talk a little bit about what you're seeing.
Hey, Dan, thanks for having me. Yeah, starting on November 1st, if the shutdown continues, 35,000 families a day will be affected. And the way that SNAP benefits are distributed, it's through the first 20 days of the month. So if you can imagine 35,000 and then the next day 70,000 and the next, you can imagine it just goes on. And that adds to the people we were already serving and other food banks are already serving. So it is, I would love to say organized chaos right now, but it's just flat out chaos.
Let me ask you, because, and I went through this in the 5 o'clock hour, and there's no politically correct way to say this, but, online you have all of these people on social media. You've got them on TikTok, you've got them on Instagram, and they are receivers of SNAP benefits, recipients of food stamps and SNAP benefits and so forth. And they celebrate the fact that essentially they are abusing the system. And so I made the point to say that there are so many people across Tennessee who are not that. They are genuinely needing the help. And I think that those people that, celebrate the big grocery carts full of cookies and potato chips and all that, give the people that really need these benefits a bad name. Who do you see come into your food bank?
Yes. Great. Well said. What we see a lot is grandparents raising grandkids that may get SNAP benefits, but they're getting because of their income, their Social Security, or maybe they work a part-time job, they might receive $40, $50 a month in SNAP benefits. Well, that's not going to go very far. You can barely get in the store for $50. So we're seeing a lot of I hate to classify it like this or say it like this, but we're seeing a lot of the working poor, people that are out working, doing everything they can. They may not have a high-end job, but they're doing everything they can. Both parents are working. They're doing everything they can, and they are getting SNAP benefits, but it might be on a lower level. We don't see a lot of that, but it is really easy to fall into that trap when you see people coming through a food line or something like that to pick up food, and maybe they're driving a nice car, but you don't know the situation. It could be a borrowed car. It could be a car that's about to be repossessed. There's just so many different things that people could be going through that you don't know about. There are plenty of people that abuse the system, but the majority of people that any food bank serves, I would say, are legit people that just need a hand up.
One of the things, and I'm going to piggyback on that, because I know someone personally who he was on food stamps, but he had a car, a nice car. It was, I forget what it was. I'm not into cars, but it was kind of a fancy car. And he lost his job, and things just, tumbled very quickly in his life. So he was one of those people, Mike, who had a nice car, dare I say, somewhat fancy. It was paid off, so he didn't want to sell it because it's all paid off, but he lost his job and he had to go get food stamps. And so he was telling me this was way back when, but he got harassed in a parking lot as one of those people that, had food stamps and was going through, I don't know how people figured it out, and he was driving a nice car and somebody said, hey, you're on food stamps. Why do you have such a nice car? Are you ripping off the system? And once you hear some of these stories, then you do begin to realize, yeah, you know what, those TikTokers who are ripping off the system, they kind of give a lot of the other people that genuinely need it a bad name. And especially when you're talking about, Mike, and you bring up a great point, the working poor. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of places out there that don't pay a heck of a lot of money. And the people who are and I'm going to air quote this, the working poor, you know what? They could be at home sitting around watching, The View all day and not work and just take advantage of the full benefits. But instead, they choose to go out and work and at least, try to do their part in being a productive members of society. Those folks are to be applauded. And they're trying their best to do what they need to do to get food for their family.
You're right, Dan. They absolutely should be applauded because they're doing everything they can to make sure that ends are met. We see a lot of people that are having to make decisions now on, should I buy this medicine or that medicine? Should I pay this bill or should I pay that bill? It's decisions that the greatest country in the world, 40% of our food still ends up in landfills. And it's just amazing to me to watch how blessed of a country we are and how poor decisions we continue to make.
You say did you say 41% of our food ends up in landfills?
Yes.
How?
40%
So
of
like
our
people letting their meat go bad or whatever?
Well, companies that have large, maybe they've had overruns or maybe they've had close to date stuff, they've produced too much or an order got canceled because of the culture in our community today where it's easier to sue Dan Mantis than to have a conversation with him. Companies get sued, they quit donating. If they don't donate the food, it's got to go to the landfill. So 40% of the food in our country still ends up in the landfill.
So what do you need? By the way, Mike Womack is joining us, Executive Director of Feed America First. What do you need as November 1st approaches? Because I know that, as you're saying, it's going to be chaos.
Yeah, and every food bank's in the same situation. One of the things that I probably, your listeners may be thinking, hey, what can I do? How can I help? The greatest way to help, a lot of people, we're getting a lot of phone calls of people saying, hey, I want to start a food bank. Now's not the time to start a food bank or a food pantry. Get involved with someone that's already doing it. Many churches, 90% of the places that we work with is churches. So the greatest thing you can do is go and volunteer, go and donate money, because even if the food is donated, there's still transportation costs. If you're going to if we're going to go across, we're in Murfreesboro, if we're going to go to a cold storage place over 5 miles from us and pick up a load of yogurt that's donated to us, it's still going to cost us $1,000 to get it delivered 5 miles because transportation cost is so high. So every food bank needs volunteers. Every food bank needs dollars. They have buying power. So for us at Feed America First, it's easy. Go to feedamericafirst.com, hit donate. You can make a massive difference. Contact myself or our volunteer coordinator, Michelle Olson. Come volunteer. Help us pack boxes. But somewhere around you is a food bank that needs help, and we need to all come together on this to be able to handle what's about to happen.
So if people wanted to donate food, could they do that if they wanted to donate canned goods? Or is it easier to get cash or whatever?
They absolutely can. Most food banks of our size are going to have a little bit more buying power. So if you want to donate money, that's a little easier for us. But if you want to do a food drive, I know World Outreach Church here in Murfreesboro, starting this weekend and next weekend, at every service is going to do a food drive. So any of their services, if you're in the Murfreesboro area and you want to take a bag of non-perishable food and drop it into one of the totes that they have out there, that's a good option. Many churches are doing food drives right now because the need is so large.
One of the things, and some folks are chiming in on the super text line, you talked about how a lot of the folks that are recipients of your food bank, when they show up, you're talking about kids, you're talking about elderly folks. Do you have a percentage?
Yes, probably 60% of the people that come in through our efforts are either single parent families or grandparents raising grandchildren.
Okay. How can people get more information on your food bank?
Feed America First.
Feed America First.
Yep. FeedAmericaFirst.com. We're on every social media platform that you can think of.
Okay.
And you can go to our website, which is feedamericafirst.com.
Do you have any food drives coming up?
We do. I mean, obviously the one at World Outreach will be the biggest one we have because it's one of the largest churches in our state.
Yeah.
But we've got a lot of churches, and if a church wants to start one, call us.
All right. Mike Womack, Executive Director, Feed America First, thank you. And let us know how it goes. Let me know. We've got our respective phone numbers. Let me know how it goes on the 1st, all right?
Thank you, Dan.
All right. Very good. It is 8:18 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We did not do traffic, so let's check in with whoever's doing the traffic at 8:18. Eight 8:18, Nashville's Morning News. Joan, no good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah, why is that?
You know what we said about Gavin Newsom?
Yeah.
We got a bunch of those people on the super text line. Cloudy today, a shower in spots, a high of 62, feels like 61. So you have some, and by the way, we're all friends here, but you got some people that are attacking yours truly, your humble host, for, number one, basically saying, not all the people on food stamps or SNAP benefits are, crooks or taking advantage of the system like you see on TikTok. The people on TikTok, that's what they do, but there are other people that really do need help. I said that in the 5 o'clock hour. I said that here. And somehow that's offended some of the delicate sensibilities of people listening, and I don't really understand why. Because isn't that a fact?
Yeah. Yes.
And if I needed food, I'd go to a food bank, or I'd take SNAP benefits if I had to. I mean, why would you not? They're there for people that need help.
Yeah.
And then there's other people that are saying, one guy who is saying, well, it's listeners like yours who think, that all people on SNAP are, gaming the system. And I will tell you,
that.
Number one, I never said that. As a matter of fact, I spent, a good part of the 5 o'clock hour talking about how the people, again, at, who are online making fun of the system and taking advantage of the system, openly taking advantage of it, are giving the real people in need a bad name. That is literally what I said. And then 3618 says this. Dan, your friend with the fancy car didn't do everything he could before he jumped on the gravy train and took tax dollars to feed himself. I think it'd be himself, but whatever. What are you suggesting, 3618? That he should have sold his car that was all paid off so that he would have to go get another car? And by the way, this was a good car that had good gas mileage. So I don't know what people want. You know what I mean? Sometimes people end up in really crappy situations. That's what happens to people. And I know, and Joan, I know you know too, people who have been in radio and had good gigs and lost it and couldn't find another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can happen to anybody.
But okay, so let's take it a step even further. A lot of people have had good jobs in radio or other jobs and they lose their jobs. Why didn't they plan for disaster? Like, why should we have to cover them because they didn't plan well? I just feel like we really need to step up our game of, caring for ourselves. Every day,
yeah,
I get really mad that the school systems feed the kids free meals, not just during the school year, but all summer long.
Yeah.
All we do is pass the responsibility off to somebody else for everything, and that bugs me.
Yeah, and listen.
And I'm not heartless, but it bugs me.
That is absolutely legit. I mean, I know. But when Mike said, a lot of the folks that come to the food bank are the working poor, I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of working poor in this state and across America. There's a lot of working poor. And so they could be off, just on the gravy train full time, like you see with some of these idiots on, YouTube or TikTok or whatever, but they are doing, perhaps the best that they can. So maybe the truth is, somewhere in the middle, because there are people that absolutely take advantage of the system. But there's other people that find themselves in really dire straits. Dude, I got to tell you, there was about 6 months in my life when I was about 19 years old, after I got kicked out of my house, that I was living on top ramen. I was that guy that was living on top ramen. And I was that close. I kid you not.
That was my college years.
Yes, I was that close to being homeless.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe it's because I was so close to, being homeless when I was really young. Because my mom literally kicked me out of my house. And I was like just turned 18. And she told me I was out of the house when I was 17.
Oh, wow.
So it's a whole thing. Like she was like, and I know I got to take a break. We got to tell RJ to chillax.
He's giving you the windmill.
My mom told me, that's all right. My mom said, when you turn 18, you're out. She says, I'm selling the house, the townhouse. I'm selling the townhouse, and I'm going to go off and get married and do whatever she's going to do, and you got to find a place to live. And I was like, what the heck did I do? And she's like, well, you didn't do anything. That's part of the problem. But you've got to figure it out. And off I went. She never even sold the townhouse. She actually ended up renting it out. But, yeah, so, I mean, I was like right there on the precipice. So I'm sure people are chiming in about their own, right there on the brink of homelessness stories, because I think a lot of people have them. But you know what I did, Joan? Now this is where I'm going to talk about the other side. I ended up working like 5 different part-time jobs. All of them paid me, I kid you not, minimum wage. At one point in my life, I had 5 jobs, all that paid me minimum wage, so that I could get out of the absolute hole that I was in. And, I made it. I made it. So there you go. But I didn't have kids and that whole thing either. So anyway, it is.
But still, you worked your way out of the hole.
I did.
Right?
I did. And boy, it felt like I could always use a bigger shovel. It just, I mean, it was for like 6 months to a year, man. I think that's part of what drives me today, be honest with you. Because how many of us don't? I live with a perpetual fear of failure and being broke, being homeless, not being able to provide for my family. And it is that fear that I think drives me every single day. And I think that, am I ready now? Am I okay if a rainy day happens? Absolutely I am. But I think a healthy fear is actually good for people. The problem that these people online that are taking advantage of the system, the problem is they have no fear because they are used to the government providing for them every single day, every single month. And that's the problem. All right, we really got to go. RJ, why did you let me go so late, man? What is wrong with you?
You're going to get it, RJ. Just
so telling the boss.
Yeah.
I don't even know where we are. So Joan was coming up in the news.
Well, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk just got a request granted from a judge. What do you hear about Tyler Robinson in the news coming up here at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN?
Thank you. 8:26 on Super Talk. Dan Mandis here with a great way to increase the value of your home. How about a bathroom upgrade from my friends at Zintex? This is a great company that has a great deal just for listeners to my show. How about converting your bathtub into a walk-in shower? Now, you could do that. And for listeners to my show, you can get $999 off or 0% interest for 2 years, whatever works best for you. Now, Zintex has won awards for ethics from the Better Business Bureau. And last year, they were voted one of the best places to work in the construction industry. And remember, happy employees mean great customer service. Now, remember that great deal. You can get $999 off or 0% interest for 2 years, whatever works best for you. Now, you mentioned WTN. You get a free Kohler toilet with your purchase. You can find them online, Zintex.com. That's Zintex.com, Zintex.com. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Brentwood Jewelry. Listen, if you've got a special occasion coming up, you need a special gift. Brentwood Jewelry is your place to go. Now, guys, for the lady in your life, maybe you need something for the holidays. Necklaces, bracelets, rings, and earrings, they've got those for your lady. And for the guys, money clips, cufflinks, and they've also got watches for everyone. And yes, every budget as well. And by the way, if you've got a family heirloom, maybe it's an old watch that needs repair, maybe a ring that needs to be reset, Brentwood Jewelry can do it for you. They've got great merchandise, terrific prices for every budget. This is a family-owned company. They've been in Middle Tennessee for over 50 years. Brentwood Jewelry is the official jewelry store of my house. And yes, they are here to help you. 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. That website, BrentwoodJewelry.com.
Good morning. It is 8:31. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The trans man accused of killing Charlie Kirk won a court battle yesterday. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
Tyler Robinson, accused of killing Charlie Kirk, listened remotely from jail as a judge ruled that Robinson will be allowed to wear civilian clothing at upcoming court hearings as to not appear guilty and prejudice a jury.
The defendant has a right to appear in civilian clothing, and that any restraints must be concealed from the jury.
The judge denied Robinson's attempts to be unshackled during court hearings and will limit media from showing any photos or videos of his restraints. Alex Stone, EBC News.
Now, the street clothes argument presented by his lawyer is the same one used by Luigi Mangione's lawyers in his murder case. Things are going to look pretty crazy at BNA today and for tomorrow. Flames, big emergency vehicles, but they say don't worry about it. It's all part of an emergency exercise aimed at keeping first responders up to date on what to do if there's a fire emergency involving an aircraft. Now, they started this at 8 o'clock this morning. It should be over by 11:30, but the same exercise will be back again tomorrow morning, same time, 8 to 11:30 in the morning. Nate Bargatze is hosting a new game show being filmed here in Nashville, and they need audience members to do it. Now, this game show is 3 people guessing how everyday Americans answered some outrageous questions, and the winner takes home the average American salary of $67,920. Tickets are free. You have to be 12 years old or older. The dates are November 1st to the 4th, and it happens at Nashville Municipal Auditorium. Now, I have a link for those tickets on my X account.
I actually want to be a guest.
You want to be a guest? Oh, that would be fun.
I want, like, me, Joan, and Chris, or me, Joan, and Sam. RJ, you're not invited yet. You're on triple secret probation. But I think it would be fun to have me, Joan, and Chris, or Sam, or whatever, come in and answer the questions and have some fun with Nate Bargatze.
See, I can't say his name either.
We'd crush.
$67,920 I would donate to the children who want to eat their lunches and their dinners and their breakfasts all year long, because I'm getting torn up.
Let me just tell you from experience, all
line.
these kids want to do is eat, okay? That's just, it's nonstop.
Joan is getting absolutely, Chris doesn't have his headphones on, Joan, but Joan, Chris is getting absolutely crushed.
On the super text line.
Well, you know, Joan
because
wants,
I paid for my kids to eat in the summer.
Joan wants children to starve.
See, that's the line, right?
Joan wants children to starve.
Oh, man, I don't want children to starve. I want their parents to feed them. I fed mine. You feed yours.
Chris said you want the parents to starve.
And their dogs.
Anyway, moving right along, because we're clearly late.
Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. And so yesterday we hit some highs on Wall Street, and today we're headed even higher. We've got the Dow Jones up 284, NASDAQ gaining 125, and the S&P is up 16 points. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. Now I'm getting skewered. Thanks a lot, Joan.
You're welcome.
The Wellness Institute of Nashville. I got to tell you, when I came to Nashville, I was in a lot of pain. I had back and neck pain. They fixed me right up at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I heard a commercial just like this one. Now, right now, Wellness Institute of Nashville, they're offering the Big Daddy Trump special. That's right, $12 for a comprehensive exam, x-rays if needed, a well-explained diagnosis, and that first treatment. You got to call them. You got to tell them you heard about them from WTN and Dan Mandis. That phone number is 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009. $12 gets you on your road to recovery. Listen, if you've got back or neck pain, sciatica, slipped or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in the arms and legs, fingers and toes, they can help you with their state-of-the-art non-surgical spinal decompression therapy. No surgery, no spinal injections, no painkillers. $12 get you started. 615-246-5009. Painisbad.com. Dan Mandis here for Window Nation. Now, listen, October, of course, is about to wrap up. The really cold weather is coming in November, December, January, February. And so if you experience annoying drafts, if you have the cold air coming in and the warm air going out, my friends at Window Nation, they can help you eliminate those annoying drafts with replacement windows from Window Nation. They've got some of the best replacement windows out there. Now, their installation crews finish the job in 1 day or less, so you can get back to your daily routines with minimal interruption. And right now, Window Nation has a great deal going on just for listeners to my show. This month, when you buy 2 windows, you are going to get 2 windows free. There's no limit as to how many windows you replace, and your total price includes 1-day installation. Also, make no payments for 2 years, no monthly payments, no down payment, and no interest until 2027. That is a big deal with the holidays coming up. Find them online at windownation.com. That's windownation.com. 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, windownation.com.
Okay, so we have 24 westbound in Glencliff. There's a stalled out vehicle in the right lane. It's right at the Antioch Pike overpass. Careful there. In Franklin at Mac Hatcher at Del Rio Pike, there's a crash. That one involves some injuries. Another one involving injuries in East Nashville on Woodland Street at South 5th Street. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.839 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We are getting skewered, Joan.
I know. And
Jason says Joan is a heartless Republican. Dan is just brainless.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's Jason. You got to take Jason with a grain of salt. It's called he does a little bit of trolling.
Does Jason do trolling?
He did a little bit of trolling.
Okay, very good.
I don't care that somebody thinks I'm a heartless Republican. I do believe in self-responsibility.
You know what, Joan? Here's what those starving children need to do. Give them a gun and go hunt some deer.
Give kids guns. That's the official position of Nashville's Morning News.
All right, just so we're clear, I'm kidding. I think I have learned there's certain things that apparently you can't win when you talk about.
Yeah.
One of them is
giving kids guns.
No, not giving kids guns. I think we all agree that's a great idea.
That's a good idea.
No, it's SNAP benefits and that kind of a thing. Because a guy disagreed with I was talking about a guy who I knew had a decent car. Somebody gave him a hard time because he had a decent car, but he had the food stamps or whatever. And this guy's and listen, I'm going to give it to him. Guy says what he should have done was sold the car so that he would have money for the groceries and not live off the government dime. But then he's got to get a car. How's he going to work?
And you never know, right? Like he bought a $40,000 used car that he still owes $35,000 on.
Right.
Like there's a Jordan Peterson thing. It's like, don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to yourself where you were a year ago.
Yeah,
right. Because you don't know, that guy might have a really nice Mercedes, but he might be going through just an awful divorce and his kids hate him.
Oh.
And life is going down the crapper, and you're in a much better position, even though you can't see it through the windows of the car.
I have been through two really, really bad times in my life. One was I described earlier when I was 18 and got kicked out of my home. My mother kicked me out.
Good for her.
You know what? Honestly, dude, it was the best thing she ever did for me.
Yeah.
Best thing she ever did for me. She didn't know it at the time.
It's time for you to stop freeloading.
Get out. I want to sell the house. And then she never even sold it. And then after my divorce.
Okay.
And you want to talk about being penniless. Lawyers and all that kind of stuff. Holy mackerel. So anyway, whatever.
I had times where we were eating, me and my roommate Zach, we were eating stale taco shells and salsa. And we did that for about a week and a half.
If you put enough salsa on it, you can't tell that they're stale.
You can't.
Joan, you ever know that?
I didn't, but if you just pop them in the toaster oven, let them get a little crispy, you don't even notice.
Did
Joan,
you know?
I was telling you how poor we were. We didn't have a toaster oven, Joan.
I see. I'm sorry.
You know what? You do it in the summertime, put it out on the side.
There you go.
Right. There
What's
you
the
go.
problem?
There you go.
Sometimes
Listen, I'm
desperate
heartless
measures.
and I'm cold, so,
She is.
Yeah.
We're getting so many texts of people saying 1-877 guns for kids.
Oh, my goodness.
like we've had multiple texters. 1-877 guns for kids.
Who's what? You know what? I think we need to make RJ sing it as his official initiation. 877 guns for kids, right?
8777 guns for kids.
There you go.
I would also say Dan Mandis 2028, arm the children.
Arm the children.
You know what? Put that on a bumper sticker. I'm going with it.
Just for the record, my favorite ones were the ones that spelled guns with a Z.
Well, that shows a little bit of street cred.
Yeah, you got to do it. Mm-hmm. Those kids are going to be holding their guns sideways.
So let me ask. So Joan and
so gangsta.
Gosh. Yeah. So I'm thinking about doing something, but I'm not sure if I should. I said something this morning that really touched a nerve with one of our listeners.
What are you doing?
I said something that, even though I don't believe I said anything wrong, it really upset this particular person. I'm thinking about, does it break protocol to actually cold call somebody and say, listen, I'm sorry. I see that touched a nerve with you, and I sincerely apologize. Because she really, I mean, it was some, I think it's a female. I feel bad because this person took what I said so personally.
Here's what I would ask. Would it change your calculation if this was a man?
Of course. No, it wouldn't. No. If it's a man, woman, I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah. What are you trying to...
Yeah. What's the point of that question?
I'm just wondering if he's more sympathetic to hurting a female's feelings.
No, not at all. Not at all. When I say something and I don't mean anything by it, if I'm like making fun of somebody, and then that other person has the same trait, then the other person personalized it. One of our listeners personalized it. And I feel, generally speaking, I feel bad.
What is it?
Septum ring.
Oh. The bull nose thing.
I started making fun of people. I don't know why.
But I make fun of those people all the time, too.
I know, but you know what?
You're heartless, Chris.
You're heartless.
You're forgot.
You want children to starve and...
I saw an Instagram video, and it was this girl, and she's like, my parents say I look like a weird liberal. And she had blue hair and a septum ring, and then she took it out and dyed her hair, and she's like, oh my gosh, I look great.
I could get a job now. Yeah, so I feel bad. But I don't know what the protocol is. I'm just cold calling people and say, hey, sorry I ticked you off. You know what I mean? I don't know. Should I do that? I feel like it'd be creepy.
Like Bernie Sanders asking for money. I'm coming once again to apologize.
When they sign a restraining order against you, you'll know that it was too much.
And see, that's the thing. I don't know, and I don't know how well it would be received. So I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I've got her phone written down, phone number written down. I don't know if I should I call?
It would totally change the calculation if it was a dude with a septum ring.
But dudes don't really get septum ring. I mean, I've never seen a guy with one. It's
oh my
always
goodness
girls.
Gracious, Joan!
Really?
Where have you been?
Have I been in a hole somewhere? Yeah.
Get out of the wherever the world.
She's been in the woods, Stan.
Yeah.
I one of the Starbucks I go to, one of the baristas is a dude, and he's got a septum ring.
Really?
Do you think it's him?
What do you mean?
You're going to call to apologize? You'd be like, is this
Bill
from Starbucks?
I'm absolutely positive this guy does not listen to Nashville's Morning News. So, yeah.
The super text line is saying, don't do it.
Oh, really?
And septum rings are stupid.
A lot of people are saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like I genuinely hurt somebody's feelings. See, this is my problem. I have just a little bit of humanity left in me.
Yeah, get rid of it.
Really? Joan? All right, let's the four of us.
I think you should shake it off.
Let's vote, the four of us. I say that I should call. Chris, what do you say?
No apologies.
RJ?
Why not? Go for it.
Joan?
No apologies.
Okay, nice going. RJ,
we have
we're
a split.
tied.
We have a split.
Well, what do we do if is Murphy Show listening? Hey, Murphy Show, if you're listening, call the hotline.
You only have to say his name one more time, and usually that does it.
Murphy Show, Murphy Show, Murphy Show.
Now we'll never stop hearing from him.
If Matt will be the tiebreaker.
You know he loves being a good tiebreaker.
Because if there's anybody that knows anything about hurting people's feelings, it's Matt Murphy.
This is true. He's an expert at having to apologize.
So, toughen up, Dan, says TB.
I love how 7884 said they wrote me and you out of this completely. Joan, what the heck is a septum ring?
No, I'm about ready to send a picture to that person.
Okay.
Please call her, Josh. Josh says, please call her. All right. No. Good Lord.
2369 said, septum ring is a choice, not a disability. Nothing to be upset about.
Oh, we got Matt Murphy on the hotline.
Oh, I knew it. We knew it. If you say his name 3 times in your bathroom with the lights off and you flip him on real quick, he's behind you yelling about libertarianism.
All right, Murphy Show with a small L. Murphy Show.
Hello, Dan.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
I was in the shower and I had the strongest urge to get out of the shower and call you. I don't know why.
I don't know either, but it's slightly disturbing. All right, so real quick. I said something that angered one of our listeners. Now, I don't think that I said anything that was really that bad by making fun of people with the septum rings. And so this particular person...
But you making fun of people what?
With septum rings. You know, the thing in their nose, the bowl thing in their nose?
Oh, the leader where you put the leash.
Yeah. That's the one.
I think I know which way Murphy's show's leaning.
I do. So
anybody that puts something like that in their face gets anything and everything that's coming to them. That's my first statement.
Okay, so she wrote me an impassioned, she. I don't know if it's a boy or girl, but this person wrote me an impassioned reason as to why she had a septum ring. And I actually feel really bad because this person is genuinely upset with what I had to say, which, I mean, if they were upset with me, I mean, they're going to be really mad at you and Chris. So
or life.
But anyway, so I was actually considering, I've got said person's phone number written down, and I was thinking about calling and sort of engaging in an apology. And I am sorry that you were so upset.
Did you speak specifically to this person's nose ring?
No, I didn't.
So
but
you were talking about nose rings in general.
Yeah, I was talking about how I didn't think that they looked very good, and
I don't know if you noticed this, but Murphy is low key channeling his inner Jay St. Clair. Have you noticed this? I'm listening and I'm hearing it.
Mm-hmm.
So you just made a general comment about people with nose rings, and this one person felt compelled to write you a passionate, emotional. What was the nature of the note? I want to know what the note was about. What did that say?
It was about the psychological reason that this person actually had a nose ring.
Oh my gosh.
That they're crazy?
No, it wasn't that. Now I feel like I'm defending the person with the nose ring. By the way, 1959 says, go pick on a bald man.
Oh.
What was their, I mean, I'm just, now you've gotten me honestly curious, Dan. What was their psychological reasoning for feeling?
So they talked about how they were really overweight. They lost a bunch of weight, but they were they had the nose ring, the septum ring, because they were trying to fit in. They were trying to find a crowd to fit in with. And that's why I said person had the septum ring. And that's where the losing 165 pounds or something like that came in. So,
well, here's what I would say to this person, if this person is still listening. Apparently, the nose ring did not help you because you're still looking for psychological approval from people on the radio that you don't know. So what you need to do is get some help with your self-esteem above and beyond putting metal in your face.
Woohoo!
Let's go.
Tell them.
Note to self, never ask Matt Murphy for sympathy.
I would also add that just trying to find a crowd to fit in with.
Yeah.
That's how Hitler rose to power. So just
Dan, 51. Do you remember when you talked about people with purple hair and somebody said, "Oh, I have purple hair," and I'm. Did you feel like you had to call that person? No.
No, because she and I had a good back and forth. It was fine. I mean, most people have a sense of humor. This one particular person didn't, and it's fine.
Humorless and filled with nose ring.
And that's why you feel the need to call that person?
Well, so let me ask you this, Dan. I
never should have done this.
If you made a comment, like let's say you went to the beach, you and Amy went to the beach, right?
Yeah.
And you noticed this particular girl in this just minuscule bikini, and she was hot. She was smoking hot, but she had this minuscule bikini on. And you made a comment about why do women feel the need to wear next to nothing on the beach? And you got a message from a smoking hot woman, just smoking hot, telling you that she had a psychological need to wear a minuscule bikini on the beach. Would you feel bad for that woman and want to call her and apologize to her?
Am I single?
He said you were with Amy.
Oh, did I say? Well,
yikes.
Okay. Well, first of all, Amy would be the smoking hot female that I'd have with me. But
smooth.
Good save.
Yes. Okay.
This person is playing, Dan, the thing that we love most about you is the fact that you are, among all of us on the radio station, you're the most sensitive. And I'm not saying that being trying to mean. You are. You're the most sensitive to the emotions of other people. And I think this person is playing on your sensitivity. And it's okay to be sensitive with this person and at the same time recognize that they're an absolute freak.
You know what? Suddenly what I said isn't so bad, and I don't feel the need to apologize. You all, though. All right, very good.
5139 texted in and said, if you call and apologize, tell him he will just be like that Philly dad with the baseball.
There you go.
All right, Murphy Show, you got anything good coming up on your show, 3 to 7?
Representative Andy Ogles is going to be on. He's going to talk about his big Trump endorsement.
Okay, very good. Then we're looking for, what time is that going to be?
That's at 4:35 this afternoon, but show starts at 3. Don't be late.
All right, very good. Thank you, Matt. And it is 8:53 on Nashville's Morning News. I actually feel a lot better because I'm not as bad as you folks.
That's good. This is what we're here for.
Okay.
Right. I mean, I feel fantastic now.
Well, like Matt said, you're more squishy than the rest of us.
Oh.
He said sensitive.
Sorry.
Joan.
Got my S words mixed up.
I had an S word for you. Anyway, it is 8:50.
Is it septum?
It is not.
S-head. Get that, S-head?
I get it.
Hey, Joan, please, for the love of all that is holy, what's coming up?
We'll tell you the one place where the homeless population is growing around here, and it's causing some concern. Also, Amazon's devastating announcement. Those stories at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, very good. $8:55, Nashville's Morning News. It is spooky season. Don't be tricked. Let the home experts at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling treat your family right. They're not going to ghost you. Join the Beehive Club for free. Just carve a pumpkin of Buzz the Bee, post it on social media, and yes, tag Busy Bee. Show off your carving skills and get rewarded. Now, this is a great company. I've been a Beehive member for years, and this is my company. Anytime anything goes wrong with my HVAC or my plumbing, this is the phone number that I call, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833. If it's time for a new HVAC system, they've got a scary good deal for you, a free 10-year parts and 5-year labor warranty. That is a $750 value. 615-775-7833. BusyBeeHVAC.com.